groups do. And they know they can't compete. So I said, when you turn up, it's on. Yeah, the line's been drawn now. Next time you turn up, it's on site.
How do you think it's going to end for Andrew?
Badly. Very badly.
And I've seen him do that. I see you do that with all of your friends. And that's why there's a lot of love for you. And that's why that has permeated through the masses. Even people that don't really know you as well, they can feel that energy that we were speaking about.
She said, how long did you get? I said, 5 years. She said, don't you fucking dare. Do not fucking dare. For 5 years. Right, Tom, you're a journalist, yeah? You see the love we have. You see the love we have, yeah? You see they're Pakistanis. You see they're Muslim, yeah? You see we get on very well. Just so you understand that I can dislike Islam, right? But I still have a very good close friendship with many Muslims and Pakistanis, yeah? So you can get the sense of that.
So, Tommy, Stephen Yaxley-Lennon, here we are. Here we are.
Here we are, mate.
My very first podcast, which we've named, we did come up with a name, The Dozen Podcast with Liam Tufts. I'll get used to the intro as I go along. But this is...
The concept is a dozen questions, right?
Well, yeah.
If I get a question I don't like, I'm just going to...
Yeah, so this could be over in minutes. The concept is...
One word answers.
A dozen questions so that I don't start veering off track.
Oh, I'll veer off track.
Yeah, and that will... So if I've got a dozen, it will allow me to sort of bring it back and go hang about.
This was the question.
Yeah, we weren't talking about the earth being flat. We were talking about Oxford Union.
Yeah, it's flat.
I'm looking forward to getting onto the Oxford Union. I want to start with Rebel Media. Now, how long ago was you doing your journalism for Rebel Media?
Rebel Media started 2015, just after the Oxford Union speech. So I'd been leading the English Defence League since 2009. I'd led it till 2014/2015, and where I'd gone to prison. And I left the English Defence League just before I went to jail. Went to jail, come out of jail, was cracking on, wasn't in the politics again, wasn't leading the English Defence League, which was the movement. So I wasn't doing that, wasn't doing videos, wasn't doing anything, was getting back to earning money. And when I was in jail, I made that decision at that time. I thought I'd been battered in Woodhill, lost my teeth. I'd been transferred to Winchester. And at that moment in time, at that moment in my life, I thought, I don't ever want to talk about Islam again. I'd had my kids, I was away from my children again. I was in prison, I was down, I was upset, feeling sorry for myself, yeah, basically. And I thought, when I come out, I need to get back to making money. Because the entirety of the time I led the English Defence League, my assets were frozen. From the start of the English Defence League 2009, the police come in, raided me, they nicked me, they arrested my pregnant wife. They put us on these conditions that the Labour government passed, which were to deal with terrorists. They put us on them, where they froze all of our assets. They closed my businesses. They ruined everything, yeah.
You was put on an actual terror watch list?
No, not on the terror watch list. There were conditions passed where they don't need a crime. They can come in and freeze your assets. They come in, bearing in mind I had a plumbing business and a sunbed shop between me and my wife, 7 houses. They just froze everything. So literally they come into the sunbed shop, pick the computers up, yeah, and walked out. No crime.
On the grounds of that you're a suspected terrorist?
We are on the grounds that we are looking for a crime. Not we've got a crime. We're looking for one.
So where does terrorists come into play?
They passed this legislation in order to deal with terrorists. So after a terrorist attack and anything like this, they pass these new laws all the time, yeah? Right. Every time there's a terrorist attack, they pass new laws, which are supposed to be to deal with terrorists. But then they end up using those laws against people who are going against the status quo or challenging their narratives, which is what they've done with me. So for 4 years, I was on a financial restraint, which meant I couldn't spend more than £250 a week. So I went from... At the time when I started the English Defence League, my earnings would have been well in excess of probably 60, 70 grand a year minimum, yeah? So I was used to living on that. And then overnight, I've got to live on £250 a week. They froze my assets. It's destroyed. When I read about it all online, they're disruption tactics that they use for mafia bosses, gangsters, and terrorists. They bring it in to disrupt your life. And that's what they were doing to me. And I was on these conditions for 4 years. Insane.
Wow.
I couldn't earn money. They stopped my ability to earn money. They closed the businesses. And at the end of that, I'd gone to jail anyway. I'd end up in prison. I'd come out of jail. And Ezra Levant was in charge of Rebel Media in Canada. And Ezra contacted me and said, would you make a video for us? I just want you to make a video.
And was that out of the blue, or did you have a relationship with Ezra before?
No, I didn't have a relationship. I'd done interviews for Ezra, Rebel Media, when I was leading the English Defence League. So I'd done interviews, but then I come out of jail and he said, will you do a video for me? I said, mate, I'm not tech savvy, yeah? So I said, Yeah, and he bought all the cameras and that and sent it over to me, and I didn't make no video. So he sent all this stuff to my mum's house, all this equipment to make a video, all this recording stuff. I didn't use it. So then he kept ringing me, and I was busy. I was busy at the time working on a development, on a property, and he was ringing me. And then in the end, I said, and I thought I better make the video. Yeah, he's bought all this equipment. So anyway, I made a video. So I made one video
for Rebel,
sent it. They put it out, and it had a good reaction. It was just me talking.
And did they suggest what kind of video to make, or did they say, make a video of your choice?
Pick a topic and make a video, Tommy.
Perfect.
I can only thank Ezra. We'll get into the relationship with Ezra, but I can only thank Ezra for starting me off, because he said make a video, and I made the video. I picked Sweden. I've seen a lot, and I wish I'd have thought about it when I was leading the English Defence League. All it's about is making them see what I've seen, them know what I know. The stats, the statistics, the numbers, the problems in towns and cities, all the stories I hear, from day one, I should have been sharing them with the public. But instead, we were doing demonstrations. That was our organisation. We were getting out on the street and thinking we need to talk to people on the street. Whereas in reality, we can talk to people here and we'll reach far more people than are going to turn up on the street. So I made the video for Ezra Levant, Rebel Media. It went out. Ezra contacted me and said, okay, can you make another video? I said, but I haven't got time. What was he paying me? £80? He paid me £80 to make a video. Something like that. I'll give you £80 a video, £80 each video you make, yeah? And the content you do. And I was making far more working, yeah? So I was just working. And then he contacted and said, in the end, he said, Tommy, I went and done an interview. I done an interview with these two gay kids down in London. Went down, they asked for an interview with me. They done the interview. And I said, they said they do editing. I didn't know anyone done editing, yeah? Because we'd been doing it, we'd been out on the street. We hadn't been concentrating on this. They said, we'll edit your next video. So then I made another video and they edited it for me. And Ezra contacted me and said, who edited that video? I said, two gay lads I met who done an interview with me the other day. He goes, okay, it's really good.
Without giving them the tip of the hat, are the two gay lads that
the total wrong ones
I've met before? Yeah, I don't want to give them the oxygen.
It's them.
Okay,
it's them. They're the two gay lads.
Yeah.
So and then Ezra rang me up then and said, I want you to work full time doing videos. And I said, okay, but I earn a lot more money than what you're willing to pay me doing my videos. And at which point I believe he said, okay, what would you need to come on full time? So I said, I know I can earn a lot more money doing this, but I said, pay me this because it's my passion. I've been doing it for 5 years. And then, but then I had the problem at that time of my ex-wife, because I'd come out of jail and agreed with my ex-wife, okay, it's done. Yeah, she'd been asking me for 5 years, stop the English Defence League, stop the politics, you're destroying the family, you're causing danger to us, blah, blah, all these things. And I'd agreed not to. I'd come out of jail and said, look, I'll get back on my life. And then Ezra offered me the job. So then I had to sit her down and convince her as such. Well, not convince her.
But there is
tell her.
Yeah.
I'm doing it.
Now doing this.
Yeah.
But there is a slight difference between being the leader of a monumental street movement, which is politically driven, to becoming a journalist for Rebel Media, or is it blurred lines? Is it much of a much?
No, because when I had the English Defence League, I was always responsible for the actions of the English Defence League.
Yes.
So I was getting collared, or headlines were going in the newspapers, or people around the school gates, and they're all looking at behaviours of individuals. It's not me, whereas I was the face of it. So it was like a big weight off my shoulders when I left the English Defence League, because now you want to challenge me on what I've done and on what I've said. Because every time I used to get put on TV for anything, they'd throw something a random supporter of wearing an English Defence League top has done or said. So I was then responsible for myself, which was refreshing, because for 5 years I'd been responsible for everyone within a movement and every action of them. So then I started making videos and they exploded. We took the camera and just went with it. So if there was a news story, I think the Manchester bombings happened, the London bombing happened. So Manchester bombings happened, and I remember getting in my car, and I remember driving down and banging on the door in London because I couldn't get hold of the lads. I was banging on the door of the cameramen saying, get up, we're going Manchester, yeah? They've just blown up the Ariana Grande concert. And on the way to Manchester, I sat in the car as we were driving up, and I went through and I looked at the statistics, the demographics, the terrorists, all the info and stats about Manchester, and it gobsmacked me. But Luton's a hot point, East London's a hot point, Birmingham's a hot point for terrorism. When I looked at Manchester, I looked at the demographical change. The Muslim community had doubled every 10 years. So it had then gone from 25, it doubled doubled to 25,000. Then it had gone to 50,000 10 years later. So I thought, well, 10 years later it's at 100,000. 10 years later it's at 250,000. The city's gone in 30 years. Yeah, totally gone. And this was the demographical facts. I was just looking at the numbers. Then I looked at how many terrorist atrocities or how many terrorists had gone to fight for ISIS from one little area. And it was something like, and they used this video. So I remember standing outside the mosque. I said, where I'm standing now, within a 2-mile radius, I can't remember off the top of my head now, it's probably like 15 or 20 men had gone to fight for ISIS. Yeah? So I said, in these houses that you look around and think are innocent people, there's enemy combatants.
I just want to bring this back quickly, because I really didn't.
I've gone off on one, innit?
Well, and so you should. Yeah. You're well within your rights. You're entitled to, because you've had the mainstream, that whole machine against you. But I wanted this conversation between you and me to not go down the Islam rabbit hole. So I want to just put Islam to bed.
Yep.
Everybody knows your stance on Islam. You're not on your own by any stretch of the imagination. A lot of people are far too scared to speak up about Islam, and that's probably because you have been chastised, lambasted, silenced, censored, sort of dehumaned to a certain extent because of your views on the radical side of Islam and what they do as a collective. So I think everybody that knows Tommy Robinson, they know about your views on Islam. They know the work that you've done. They may not understand it, but we're going to come to Oxford Union in a little while. Yep. I've got some notes so that when we do veer off, or I veer off, we can bring it back. So Islam, we're going to put that to bed.
Yep.
We know about Islam. We know about Tommy Robinson. What I want to do is I want to find out more about Stephen Yaxley-Lennon. And I do believe that is your name that you was christened with.
I was christened with Stephen Yaxley.
Right.
So my name, I was born with Stephen Yaxley, and then I was adopted by Thomas Lennon, and that's where Lennon comes from. So I put the two names together when I was in school. And then when I left school, I thought, well, Yaxley means nothing to me. Although it's my nickname, everyone who knows me growing up, I'm known as Yax. If I was going on to have children, I don't want them to continue the name Yaxley, because I said DNA doesn't make you a dad. My dad is Thomas Lennon. That's who's brought me up. That's the man who showed me the world. That's the man who's directed me in my life. He's a great, unbelievable man. And I want my children to carry his name. So I changed it to Stephen Lennon. Yeah? And then I see people say, oh, look, he's posh. He's had a double barrel name. He's middle class. He's rich. It's like, no, I just adopted parent. That's where the names come together. So then it was Stephen Lennon. And then obviously I used a pseudonym. I used a fake name when I started the English Defence League called Tommy Robinson, which stuck with me. Once people knew me as Tommy, it's a bit like what we've done with Vids.
Yeah, but explain the reason why you had to create a pseudonym from your actual name, Stephen Yaxley-Lennon. The purpose of you creating, as far as I'm aware, an alter ego, Tommy Robinson, was to protect your family from the media machine that want to tarnish you with all sorts of incorrect labels.
It was to protect them from violence. So 2004, I organised a protest, I was young, called Ban the Luton Taliban.
Right.
It was after the local extremist group, who are now a prescribed terrorist organisation, but they never were. They're in my town, their head office is in my town, Omar Bakri, the hook hand, all of them were based around Luton, insanely, and nothing was ever done. So I organised a demonstration called Ban the Luton Taliban, and the fallout from that, because I was the organiser, was every single heroin dealing Pakistani gang in Luton wanted a bit of me. Yeah? Luckily, I was part of the Luton youth football group, and we had a sort of little group of us that battled them. Now, 5 years later, I'm flying, businesses, successful. I got out of the town. Like most people, everyone tries to get out.
Was the EDL formed at this stage?
2009 is when it forms. So when it starts to, when we form it, I know what the consequence of talking out against these extremists is. I've been there. Yeah? My house has been smashed up. I've had to fight for 5 years on every time I've gone out in town with the local Pakistani gangs. So I think, well, I want to say something, but I don't want the fallout of this. Yeah, I was the same as every one of you who has a good job, thinks something, but don't want to say it. That was me. Yeah, and I was scared to. The truth be it, like most people, I was scared. I didn't want to lose my businesses. I didn't want to lose my family. I didn't want to lose my safety. So I used a different name. That's it. That's all there was to it. And crazily, that name lasted without no one knowing who I was for a year. I remember turning up. I turned up to do an interview in Granada Studios, Manchester, and I turned up wearing a niqab. a full niqab, yeah. And like I'm walking in, and I remember the whole studio just stopped. All the offices as they walk me through, and I'm walking in, I'm walking in with this burqa. They're all looking at me like, "What is this geezer on?" But when I sat down, they said, "Why are you wearing that?" I said, "Do you want to know why I'm wearing it? Do you want to know why a Muslim woman wears it? So a man don't feel the urge to fucking rape her, yeah." So that's not legitimate, right? The reason I'm wearing it is so people don't kill me. I've got more of a legitimate. You want to stop a woman in the street in a niqab and ask them why they're wearing it, yeah? Rather than looking at me like I'm a fool. Ask me why I'm wearing it. I'm wearing it for my safety. But after a year, I was exposed as who I was. It was front page of the Times newspaper. My life changed forever. And it was the worst thing they could have done, because then the niqab come off, the balaclava come off, and I sat on TV and told everyone what's going on. And that amassed a mass following.
So we can actually clear this up once and for all on this here podcast. There is no conspiracy. There is no...
I'm not no government plant.
There's no ulterior motive. Like, you've got no problem with everybody knowing your name, and you've got no problem knowing the name that you used to lead the English Defence League. So when you get the trolls, the wallies on Twitter...
Real names. They love to do it.
Like they've just hit that eureka light bulb moment. Stephen Yaxley-Lennon. Like, yeah, mate. Everyone knows that. There's nothing to look into. Tommy Robinson is one person. Stephen Yaxley-Lennon is another.
They're two different people.
And I want to talk about Stephen Yaxley-Lennon.
They're two different people.
I want to talk about Stephen Yaxley-Lennon. Yeah. And I'm going to quickly go back to Rebel Media, just very, very briefly, because that was when I first saw you pop up. Now, I didn't know anything about the EDL. We've had this chat before, which is bizarre. Now I know how, what kind of a phenomenon it was. But I was very ignorant to politics. I was in my own little bubble, doing my own little thing, making money, making love, spreading love. And I just didn't let the noise come in. And then obviously the internet comes about. I joined Facebook. I start doing some content myself. I start cracking jokes before I was completely censored and silenced as well. Before you, which I couldn't believe. It's like, Tom, how the fuck has this happened? But when I first saw you, and is it the same time that you saw me? Because I was doing my thing on the internet. You was doing your thing with Rebel Media. So the more I'm watching you, the more I'm thinking, well, this guy makes the Cook Report look like a choir boy. This guy's got some balls of steel. His beliefs and morals are very much align with mine and with a lot of people I know, a lot of people I talk about. We have dinner parties, the conversations, the topics that you were raising to the surface, putting the magnifying glass on for the world to see. They were sort of secret conversations that people would have, like, whispering in the dark, because they didn't quite have the kahunas to say it out loud. And all of a sudden I see this guy with a fucking great microphone in his hand, plonking it in people's faces saying, explain yourself. So I instantly warmed and gravitated to you as a human being, because I knew what you were doing. I could see it in your eyes that there was sincerity in there. You was doing it from the heart. And then you look at comments. You can't help reading comments. Tommy Robinson, leader of the English Defence League. I didn't know who the English Defence League was.
Far-right, racist, Islamophobe.
Yeah, far-right, racist, Islamophobe, bigot, football hooligan. And so I'm looking thinking, surely not. Because you and me then started talking privately on the internet, because some of the jokes I was cracking were very much in line with what you oppose. And then
you walk around your kitchen all the time.
Walk around my kitchen with my phone in my hand, ranting and raving and shouting and hollering. It was great fun. But the message was loud and clear. To embrace love and freedom and harmony, you have to oppose hatred. There's no point remaining silent about hate. You've got to oppose it and embrace the love. You can't just ignore hateful stuff that's happening. But anyway, I don't want to veer off either. So when I'm seeing all these tags, these taglines that are attached to your name, these labels, you always think there's no smoke without fire. So I thought, well, I'm going to fucking investigate this fire. I'm going to look in, because I'm talking to this guy and we get on well, we're having banter, having a laugh, and there's going to be a friendship blossoming there, I'm sure. However, there is no way in a million years that I could ever possibly be friends with a genuine bona fide racist. I just couldn't. I also now know that you couldn't. So anyway, my job was then to dig a little bit deeper, scratch beyond the surface, and have a little look into Tommy Robinson and Stephen Yaxley-Lennon. And I tried my hardest, and I mean I tried my hardest to find the racist in you. And I looked and I looked and I looked, and all I could find was a friend. And then when we hooked up for the first time, I already know on the journey up there when we're meeting at the boxing do.
Was Essex?
That was in Essex. I lost my fucking shoes and I love them.
You lost your shoes. How'd you lose your shoes in a hotel?
I took them off. Don't take your shoes off. But so on the way up there, I already know that I've searched high and low for evidence, indisputable, irrefutable evidence that you are what the mainstream media and the fools that follow that narrative accuse you of being. And I was satisfied that you are not a racist. You're very strong on your beliefs. You're a hell of a character. You're a powerhouse of a man, but racist you're not. And then we met at the boxing do, and a third of your friends were black.
I know, it's
like, right.
But we laugh about
I've just come to meet this racist, and it's a multicultural group of friends. So that's debunked. Yeah. He's not a racist.
But
madness.
Do you know the funny thing is, like in Luton, we always laughed about it. In the early days of the English Defence League, we were all laughing. I was the white boy with all the black boys growing up.
Yeah.
I was that white kid with all the group of black lads.
And you still have?
Yeah, and I still have, yeah. But that's what I was growing up. So it's because white English are a minority in Luton. I've just embraced everyone, and everyone's embraced each other.
And you're an immigrant yourself.
Yeah, my mum's an immigrant. But most of my friends are sons of immigrants.
Yeah.
But that doesn't make no difference to us. It's never made no difference to us.
Well, if you're like me...
All my mates, black lads, have all got England tattoos all over them. They're English. They're just English lads.
And if you're like me, you've got no objection to people coming in and migrating, as long as they migrate and contribute. It's the ones that come in and suck the teat from the system and do absolutely zero. Them I object to. And furthermore, the ones that I really dislike are the ones that come in,
want to blow everything up,
extract our generosity, and then take the piss by raping, not working, fleecing the system. We pay for their food, their rent. We kick people out of hotels, their jobs. I'm now doing it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, let me talk about your childhood, or let you tell me a bit about your childhood, because I've known you from 2014, 2015, and I've heard similar stuff on podcasts. Your schools, it was multicultural. Everyone merged, but there was one particular group that just couldn't seem to blend in with the rest, and we know what that group is. So steering away from that, because I know that people have heard that.
Steer away from that, but it will also include that that's per se, because some of them did, in the sense that, like my childhood, if I talk about my childhood, I was blessed that I joined a football team called Dragons. It was run by a gentleman called Alan Derbyshire, a lovely man. When I think about it now, especially, I look back, and Vic Pearce, and rest in peace to him as well, was my football coach. And these are people who I'd say had a profound effect on my life, in the sense that I was young. I joined a football team. I found my camaraderie, my group of friends. Those from that football team, whether it be Robert Cheek, I have some characters that I still think about fondly.
And how old was you here?
I would have been 10 or 11. 10 or 11. I also met at that point, that's why I talk about a lad called Imran Asmat. And Imran had, I believe his father had bumped into Alan Derbyshire. So Imran wasn't from our area. He was from where the majority of Pakistani area is, totally different area to us. But his father had bumped into Alan at a petrol station, something to do with the football, and spoke to him about the football team and said, can Imran come and play? So this Asian kid, Pakistani boys, come and play for our team, and me and him got on like this, yeah? He was brilliant, right? He sadly has passed away now as well. But Imran was a character who I loved. I wrote about him in my book. And do you know, mad thing, I was at a boxing event, just say 2 years ago. I sat at a boxing event, large group of Pakistanis over here.
My shoes weren't there, were they?
Were they white?
Blue.
Were they blue?
Yeah.
I remembered there was something wild. It was blue then.
Blue, suede, Elvis would have loved them.
I just remembered, I was thinking, were they white? I was trying to figure. But anyway, I was at this boxing event, and I sat there, and I looked across, and there's a large group of Pakistanis, and they're all looking over at me. As happens, yeah.
So how old were you at this stage?
This was 2 years ago.
Right, okay.
And they're all looking over at me, and I'm sat there, and I'm with my kids. And my son's boxing club, there's an in-house boxing event. And this young Pakistani boys come over, and I thought, you haven't sent the young kid over to give me shit. Yeah?
Oh, he was a youngster.
He was 15.
Right.
I'd say 15, 16. I thought, they've sent him over to give me some shit. And he's come over and he said, Tommy. He says, Tommy, yeah? I said, yes, son. He goes, I read your book. I looked at him and thought, you read my book, did you? He said, yeah, I want to thank you for the kind words you said about my uncle. I looked and I thought, uncle? And I said, your uncle's, I get him, because he was such a nice, I said, your uncle's Imran. He goes, yeah. I said, bruv, let me tell you, because I had love for his uncle, man, a lot of love. Like I've got some of my best memory. I remember he pushed me off the pier. We went on a football tournament and he threw me off the pier.
This is when you played for Dragons?
This is when I played for Dragons. Like we had away days, so we went, and some of the best away days. So we went away, where did we go to as well? We went to Newcastle. Wolves End Boys, yeah? We played Wolves End Boys, which was Gazza's old team. We played David Platt's old team. Mate, we were the year above them and we got spanked like 12-0. Yeah, we were getting bad by all these little Geordie boys, yeah? And we stayed in the caravan site up there. We had such a crack. They're the best memories of my life. And I tried saying this to my son. Like,
the Geordies are great, aren't they?
Mate, they were great.
They're great.
They were great, but we're fighting them as well. There's kids on the campsite.
They're great to fight.
Yeah, they were great to fight. They were great. But we had such a trip, man. And some of my best memories are from those football away days as kids. Like just going and getting into bother, having the crack, the clashes with the teams. It was great, man. But he said, I want to thank you for the kind words. And I said, Imran. And then I said, your uncle was Imran. I said, let me tell you, bruv, like, I had a lot of love for your uncle. And then the fathers come over, yeah, and they said, look, regardless of your politics, yeah, we understand we don't agree with your politics, but the family have said you're a good man, yeah, and we know you had a good relationship with Imran. I said, mate, and I did. I couldn't go to Imran's funeral because I'd started the English Defence League. You see, I started the English Defence League. Imran's sadly passed away, and I couldn't attend his funeral because essentially I was the figure of opposition against the Islamic community in Luton, in England, in Europe, wherever
So
it is.
even the moderates and the mild and the ones that use the Quran as a buffet, even they turn their back on you.
No, they didn't. No, that's the thing. They didn't.
So
no.
they didn't?
No, they didn't, man. No.
But
No,
that's good to document.
yeah, no, they really didn't. I see so many Muslims, yeah, who still shake my hand, yeah, when they see me. The whole way through the English Defence League, I sat down with good friends, like two boys who I went to school with, and I sat down in court, and he said, "Yax, man, I don't think it's as bad as what you say, bruv." Yeah, and we're sitting down in court. I'm 3 years in. I haven't seen them since the start of the English Defence League. Do you know when I got exposed as the leader of the English Defence League? I was worried, concerned, and a bit embarrassed. Embarrassed in the sense that I've had a good relationship with many Muslims growing up, yeah, and now I'm this figure against their religion. I have a very strong belief against their religion, and I know that these kids growing up,
But just their idea,
just the idea of the religion, but I don't believe
not the human being.
No, not the human being, and I don't believe that these kids growing up are fully aware of the agenda of Islam. Yeah, they're just growing up identifying as a cultural Muslim.
Victims of Islam, perhaps?
I'd say they wouldn't. Do you know what I mean? So it's very complex, but I'm now,
Indoctrination is complex.
and it's complex for me in Luton because I'm in Luton, and Luton's a 50% Muslim town.
And we are talking about Islam again.
And and I've grown up anyway. But this was, so growing up, my football team was Imran. I loved Imran, and some of my fondest memories, some of the lads I still remember, some of the lads I was messaging yesterday, who I haven't seen for 20 years. I don't need to see them for 20 years. We've got that bond from when we were kids.
Love's still there.
Yeah, it's still there, man. And that was, so I joined this football team. I loved football. We were the best football team in Luton. I love my school football memories. I love all of it.
What about your family life? Your
family life, my mum.
Your mum, your dad, your brothers. Have you got sisters?
No, I've got no sisters. But my family life was, I was brought up. I went where I lived. My older sibling went to the Catholic school. I refused. Yeah, because
What age did you refuse?
11.
So even as an 11-year-old, you was very stern on your beliefs, your morals, and you stood your ground.
I'm not going,
irrespective of outside influence.
I wasn't going simply because I wanted to go to school with my mates, and I was on the estate. So the Catholic school where all the Irish kids are basically going, you get bussed from all around the town. Whereas I was like, no, I'm going with all my mates. Like, I'm going to that school. I went to school. It was about an hour walking.
Because you're still very big on friendship now, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
You are big on friendship, and I
have a lot of friends. I have a lot of friends. I have different groups. So I've had multiple lives. Yeah. I have the English Defence League. I have my football teams. I have my school. I'm in a school union group still, chatting to the lads from school. I keep friends everywhere I've ever gone in the world. I have friends all over the world. I maintain friendships. If I meet people and we click, I embrace those friendships. I met some in the English Defence League. I met some of the best people I've ever met in my life. Yeah, the best. In jail, I've met some of the best people I've ever met in my life. I still maintain my friendships from prison.
Have you also met some of the worst people you've met in your life through the English Defence League?
Oh yeah, the English Defence League was for the brave, the strange and the dumb.
The brave, the strange and the dumb. Because there
were some morons. It was a nationalistic organisation that attracted everyone, and we were trying to weed it out but yet the media were telling everyone it was a racist, far-right, neo-Nazi organisation. So they were being told they were welcome there. Then we'd turn up and clash with them. And like purity comes with time. And it took us a few years to weed out the dirt. And then we had a good organisation full of good people. And it was very different. And I think we broke race barriers because we were the first nationalist organisation where we were breeding a new breed of nationalism. I don't care what colour your skin is, yeah? I don't care. I don't really care if you come here 5 years ago, yeah? You embrace this country, you love this country, come on in, yeah?
And you can't say fairer than that.
You're part of it, yeah?
Yes.
So what I'd done is, we had a Sikh leader called Gurumit Singh. My podcast of him is out next week, yeah? Menacing Singh from the EDL was what the Sun titled him. And he went against everything that they wished to title us as. Now, what you won't realise is that every single English Defence League demonstration, we had a non-white person speak. Everyone. I made sure of that. Yeah. We also had a gay person speak. I made sure of that as well. And the reason I made sure of it was to really push the far right. You're not here. You're in the wrong place if you're here. Yeah. This is not where you're welcome.
So let me get this right. So you oppose and condemn the far right, which is the exact label that you were branded. You also get penalised for the entire group's behaviour. The media also report that you glamorise and glorify the entire movement, yet here you are saying that the EDL did consist of morons that you did not agree with and didn't like them as part of your group.
John, the media would run the headline of. So we turned up one and there's a
But is that right? I mean
that's totally right.
Have I nailed that?
No, nailed it. There's a video of it. I turn up, I hold a Sikh lad's hand. And I remember, so Channel 4 are doing a documentary. Yeah, they've sent cameras with us. So, and I'm playing up to the role they think I am, yeah? So I've gone and bought a litre bottle of vodka. I filled it with water. The first time we're meeting these journalists, they're coming to film with us for the first time. So I've come out of the shop, I've opened the bottle, pulled the bottle of vodka out, and I've stood there, they're over there, and I've necked it, yeah? It's water, right? And I fucked the bottle behind my head. I said, it's fucking demo day, yeah? Who's ready? And everyone's like, way! And these two journalists are standing there thinking, fucking hell. So I've walked over and said, all right, lads, I'm Tommy, yeah? And they're thinking, what? And then we got...
Were they on the left or the right?
Well, this journalist, who was, he got the top grades in Oxford, they were on the left, totally on the left, lived in a house with 7 people, 2 of them are trannies, 1 of them's gay, 1 of them was having sex with a leader of Pakistan, all this mad life that he taught me about. I'm very good friends with this man, yeah? But he's come me, so this is the first day I've met him, and we're at the coach. And then we got on the coach, and he goes, what's the plan? I said, I'm kicking it all off. And they said, what? I said, when we get up here, I'm kicking it all off, just you watch, yeah? And I went there, I went there with the intention. So we'd had the English Defence League, we'd had all these groups joining, I've been kicking them out, and there was a group called the North East Infidels, and I'd gone through their group. So they were a splinter organisation in the EDL, but they were coming to all our demos as their own little group. And I went through and they were talking open racism, yeah, talking the M word, talking all these different things about all immigrants, etc., which goes totally against what we're for. So I thought, we need to clear these lot out. So when we get up there today, I'm going to use this opportunity. Some people would say, because it broke the movement in half, not in half, but it broke the movement, yeah? So I said, I'm using this opportunity. So I get up to the demonstration and I hold Gurumit Singh, the Sikh boy's hand. I said, now in front of me, watch this speech, yeah? I said, and my intention at that time, remember, I was leading an organisation, I was fiery anyway, and I thought, I'm knocking one of these lot out today, yeah, in front of the world's cameras, right? I'm letting everyone know we're the English Defence League, you're the far right, yeah? And this is how this is going. Because
big difference.
Yeah, big difference, but they were there. They were surrounding us, yeah? So today is the day. So I hold the Sikh lad's hand up, I say, if you're here and you don't like this, you're in the wrong place. This is England, yeah? This is my England, he's English, this is where we stand. And then I start reading their names out, yeah? I say, show yourself, where are you, right? You've come here, and then you see a massive crowd. You can watch on the video, there's a big mob of them coming towards us. So I think I'm getting off the stage and levelling one here, yeah? So I, at this point, I come down off the stage and I stick, and they're all from Newcastle. So they've all got skull and crossbones, Combat 18 t-shirts, yeah? They've all got skull and...
We were fucking bigging the Geordies up a minute ago.
Yeah, well, this was a splinter organisation, this is it. And some of them in the group were actually all right as well. It's a mad thing. So I've said, right, so I come off the stage and I say, and I was looking for Alan Smith. right? So I say, what's, and one of them comes over. I say, who are you? And it's Alan. So I just go, boom, knock him clean out, yeah. Knock him clean out.
With the nut or the fist?
With the nut.
With the nut.
With the nut. It's going on. And then we come back and all the police rush in. And you can watch this and we come to the coach. And when we get to the coach, there's about 30 of them waiting at our coach. They've all got corkscrews in their hands. They're all standing there and it just goes off, yeah? There's about 30 of us, 30 then. We're all fighting down the side. We get back on the coach. So we get back on the coach with these two journalists who are just thinking, what the fuck is going on? This is their first day at an EDL demo. Now, the headlines in the news read, EDL fighting each other. No, right? We're having a clear out. Right?
EDL are fighting the far right.
So we get on the coach. Tom Costello was this journalist's name, right? Tom, if you're watching this, we'll get onto why I still think you're a wanker, yeah?
But your Uncle Elvis is all right.
But I invited him to my wedding, this geezer, yeah? So this journalist, right? So I met him and I said to him, when I first met him, I said, I'm bringing you in. You come spend some time with me, yeah? I'm going to let you inside, yeah? You're going to meet my family. You're going to meet everyone I know, yeah? You're going to see what Luton is, right? So from this demonstration, we get on the coach. Everyone's getting on the coach. There's blood everywhere. They've all been fighting. And he sits down and he's like, he's white, yeah? He's probably never seen a fight in his life, little privileged boy, yeah? And he said,
what a loser.
Yeah, you bum. He said,
yeah, grip.
Yeah. He said, I can't believe what I've just seen. I said, what? He said, you're fighting the far right. I went, yeah. He goes, none of the people I live with are going to understand this, yeah? They're not going to believe this, Tommy. I said, believe what, bro?
You should have said, let me get my crayons out and just
draw it for you.
So the guy that has had the word terrorist loosely wrapped around his name, branded far right, left, right and Chelsea, in all the mainstream medias, left and right, that man there, that far right terrorist, is amongst his own organisation fighting genuine far right.
And there was a big fallout from this.
That's the oxymoron.
That's the oxymoron.
Why don't
it's just mad.
They need to.
But they know as well. So then when we've come home, this Newcastle group, I then made a video. So listen, you lot, yeah? I said, I'm 5'6", short, fat and white. And if any of you got a problem, you know where I am.
But you got a good headbutt.
I said, come on down. Yeah, if any of you got a problem, come to Luton. All right? Come to Luton. I'll meet you. Yeah. So, and if you turn up next time, it's on site. Yeah. We're all ready, yeah, as in the English Defence League. Because behind us, every football hooligan firm in this country, they're not far right, they're not racist, they're just lads, yeah? Many of them they've all got black lads in them. No one thinks like this mindset of racism or Nazism, yeah? But these little far right groups do. And they know they can't compete. So I said, when you turn up, it's on, yeah? The line's been drawn now. Next time you turn up, it's on site. And this worked because none of them turned up again, yeah, from that demonstration.
You're good.
None of them turned up again. But then, so Tom Costello, I said to the journalist, I said, Tom, come spend some time with me. So we're at the pub, and he's come to the local pub where everyone's black and white, and everyone's shaking hands. He said, I've never seen this, Tommy. I said, what do you mean? He goes, you all know each other, this whole area, yeah? He goes, I've never had this community, yeah? I said, what do you mean? He goes, well, I went to boarding school. I went to a boarding school, and then I went to university, and then I've left. So I could go down my local shop. I don't know anyone. I said, that's why you don't have a community. So when you see if a girl's attacked on this estate or something happens, you understand why we all feel it. Yeah? Because you can see we all know each other. We all love each other. It's part of us.
That's a hell of a community, mate. Yeah, that's a hell of a community.
And he was jealous. He said, I'm jealous of it. He said, I've never sensed this. You're all hugging, embracing everywhere you go in the shop owners.
It's powerful.
Yeah. And then I said, well, today, Tom, you're my cousin. Yeah. So I rang up Bingo. So Bingo, if you're watching this, little Pakistani bad boy from Luton.
Go on, Bingo.
Yeah. So I rang up Bingo, who's funny. Yeah. And I rang up Bingo and I said, brother, I said, what's happening, man? I said, he goes, where are you? I said, I'm at the Bird and Bush in Bushmead. He goes, swing by. I said, all right, bruv. And he's pulled up in a car with two other Pakistanis. So I said, you're my cousin. So he jumps in the car. I said, yes, bruv, how you doing, lads? And I'm chatting to him and we're having a laugh in the car. I said, this is my cousin from out of town, some little rich boy. I said, but he's here, so he's spending a few days with me. And then when we got out of the car, I said, right, Tom, you're a journalist, yeah? You see the love we have. You see the love we have, yeah? You see they're Pakistanis. You see they're Muslim, yeah? You see we get on very well. Just so you understand that I can dislike Islam, right? But I still have a very good close friendship with many Muslims and Pakistanis, yeah? So you can get the sense of that. So he's seen that. Then he spent time with me. And then I look and I leave and then I see that there's an event at the British Film Institute in London, at the library or the museum, whatever it is. And it's him giving a seminar on behind the scenes with the far right. Yeah. So he's made his film about me, which is called Proud and Prejudice. Yeah. And what he didn't tell me was when he's spending time with me, he was spending time with an Islamic radical called Saiful Islam, Sword of Islam. And the documentary, it's a funny documentary, watch it. It's playing us both off against each other. So Proud and Prejudice. It's me versus him. 3 minutes, yeah? It's me versus him. And then he's standing up. So I wear a burqa and I go with my mate, Benji, who's Ghanaian. Yeah.
There's a pattern for me, geezer.
You want to get in anywhere
Yeah.
where people don't want people to know who you are, just stick a niqab on, bruv. Because that's what I've done. I'm wearing a niqab and it's funny because, you know, Kia?
Yeah.
Kia's wearing a niqab. we're in a niqab. We're all niqabbed up and we're in the back of a taxi and cars are pulling up next to us and we're like this shit, sticking our fingers up. And the people's faces like, what's going on? We're just having a crack. We get to this British Film Institute. I go walking in with Benji, yeah? And I sit 3 rows back. Tom Costello, the journalist, who's been in my house, who's met my family, knows all my friends, knows everyone. He stood there talking. And I said to Benji, the black lad, Ghanaian, I said, you have to ask him if I'm racist, yeah? That's the point. I want to know what he says, yeah? So we're sitting in there and he's talking about my mate, Jim, who was always with me, saying he was always packing a gun, yeah? So he's building this big bravado like he's infiltrated the far right and he's lived a dangerous couple of years. I think, you prick, you were fucking sat around our tables having dinner with us. No one had a gun, you weirdo. But he's betraying to all these new journalists that he's really gone undercover and all this. So Benji puts his hand up and says, can I just ask you one question? So you got to know Tommy? Yeah. You experienced his life? He said, yeah. You saw his life? Yeah. Is he racist? And he said, yeah. And at the point he said, yeah, I just took the niqab off and I just sat there and I looked at him and he went, and the whole place has just turned around looking at me.
Unbelievable.
I said, does anyone think we should ban the niqab for security reasons? Yeah, because I'm sat here. And then he goes, Tommy, let's talk outside. I said, don't talk outside. Let's talk in here, bruv.
If you've made it this far, thank you for tuning in to the Dozen podcast, sponsored by Bauer Security. If you like what you see and you want more of the same, like and subscribe to the channel. Hit the bell notification so you get notified when a new guest is coming onto the pod. Enjoy the show. There's lots more to come. Let's get back to the guest.
I said to the whole room, by the way, everyone, he's lying to you. Jim never had a gun. He's standing up here bullshitting you, which is the problem with most journalists. He's bullshitting you to further his career. He's pretending to all you lot, he's done this big undercover sting. I just brought him in. He spent time with us. But even when he got the top grades in Oxford, but he has no sense of community. Now, with all of our politicians, they've all gone to boarding school. 90%, even 90% of Labour politicians went to private school. So they've gone to private school. They haven't hung around on the estate. They don't have a sense of community. Yeah? And then they go to university and then they leave the city and then they live in a different city. So they don't have a community. Yeah. Whereas we do. And when our community is affected, with immigration, with whatever problems are brought in, it affects all of us anyway. But yeah, Tom, so my sense of it, and do you know what? My family said, we told you, yeah, because I opened up to Tom and I felt incredibly let down with how he done. And he said, Tom, you got to understand. I said, no, I don't understand, mate. You just done me a wrong, bruv.
What's to understand?
You know I'm not a racist, so you should have told people I'm not a racist. But to further your career, you wanted to portray you've been inside a big far right organisation. But then that has happened to me time and time again since the start of the English Defence League, I sort of realised that the people I can count on. I remember at the time when I went to jail, 2011, my wife said, "You're now going to see who your friends are, yeah, because you've been hanging around with loads of yes people, you've been hanging around with dicks, surround yourself with dickheads, and." The people who care about you, which is what I did see, were my school friends. People who love me, generally, they want the best for me, not people who have been clinging on to me. So yeah, I've had a lot of.
And just to put numbers into perspective, because there are going to be people out there that have read the tabloids, read the clickbait, read the usual stereotypical nonsense, but then when you get someone within the organisation concur with what the tabloids are saying, it adds credence to the story. But what you have to remember is anyone that's watching that's got more than half a dozen friends, if you've got a handful of friends, I guarantee anybody watching will think back over their life and they'll think, shit, I remember when that person turned on me. I remember when that person let me down. I remember when that person betrayed me. Now, if you've only got a small community, but there are still a percentage of people within your lifespan that have let you down, you have to remember somebody that is leading the biggest street movement that the country has ever seen, just based on pure volume alone, the likelihood is there are going to be plenty of people that turn turncoat and betray you and backstab you and lie about you to further their own agenda and use you as a stepping stone to get to the next step.
And it's to further their own pockets because they've all been contacted by NGO organisations and offered money.
Yeah.
And then at the same time, I have had mass distrust. I do have mass distrust now. Some people I've met, it was a group of lads in Lanesfield, Edders, Andy Saxon, a group of lads who are like my brothers, man. I don't have to see him for a year. They're still like my brothers.
He's a lovely man, Andy, isn't he?
Andy, yeah. And Edders, they're the best. And their families are. Kim,
Yeah.
chit chat. How are
I
you?
met Edders once and I thought, what a lovely bloke.
Lovely, man. Lovely.
And he's also, when he's in company with you and there's people there, even me, that he's not met before.
He's watching.
You can tell he's eyeing them up.
No, he's watching. Yeah. I know he's got my best
He's
interests.
sussing them out.
Yeah,
Yeah, and I really like that.
And that's rare. Andy Bomber's the same. I meet people, I just think, yep, and I click. And I don't think there's a chance in ever that no matter what happened, those people turn on me. But then many people who I've had to accommodate with or do business with, as in be cameramen or employ, cameramen, camera women, employ, they've all rolled me. Every one of them. Yeah, every one of them who haven't, because they weren't ideologically involved either. They didn't believe and have passion about what I was standing
They were there for the money.
They were there for the money from the start.
And the drama, probably.
And the drama, so they're rolling.
Make them feel alive.
Yeah, mate, yeah, that's it. Whereas the people who have from the start, I find trust a very difficult thing with everyone and anyone, because I've read stories where I just think, no way have you done that to me, man. No way have you stood by my side for this many years and then you've rolled me like that. But then I also understand that those people are in a very bad financial position, and income organisations like Hope Not Hate with £10,000 or £20,000, and they literally pay them and they line the journalists up one by one. Like I had my old camera girl.
You're kind of making allowances for them in a
for their
roundabout
behaviour,
way.
yeah,
And let me tell you what is on my list of questions. So you've just got there before I've even, because none of these questions have been rehearsed. Tommy doesn't know what I'm going to ask him, otherwise it just kills the podcast.
I'd rather not, yeah.
I have got on my list. Sorry, what did you just remember what you just said there?
I sort of like I was saying that they're
Sorry,
poor.
you're making allowances for people that have wronged you. Empathy. I've got that word as one of the things I want to discuss with you about, because you always see the good in people, and I know this firsthand. You always want to help people, irrespective of what they've done. There's something in you that sees good in other people, which is a tremendous trait, and you're full of forgiveness and love. People won't know that, won't see that, because people have caught you retaliating and fighting back, but they just put out, oh, Tommy's punched somebody again. They won't ever see the love, the warmth, the empathy.
Yeah, give them a hug
and you've just literally answered one of my questions for me by making allowances for people that have wronged you. And one of my questions was going to be, and I might as well ask it now, what compels you to see the good in everybody, even in the bad? Do you think that perhaps you could fix them? They need you. They're in a worse position than you. So you feel like as a leader, it's your role to support and nurture and maybe make them better. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but you've said that, which is crazy, because that's one of my questions. I know you're full of empathy.
I try to view, I don't know. I try and look at the bad situation some of them are in as well.
It's intrinsic of you, isn't it?
Yeah. I try and we're thinking about our friend now. We're thinking about our mutual friend from the last couple of weeks. I've got a friend who's not in a good place, who I tried to help out, and he's sort of done a bit of a wrong one. But in the sense of, if I look at someone, say like I look at someone whose life spiraled out of control, and I look at where they were at in their life, and then along come the people offering money, they're in a very bad situation. And some people, whether it be, for example, I'm not going to name a gentleman, but a gentleman was in a position and he had no money, and he had a family and he had children, and whether he took money from where or took money from here, he needed to provide for his family. So what would come first to him is his family. Now, if selling me out on the way there was a process of getting there to protect his family or provide for his family or put a roof over his family's head, then I try to understand it. That's what I try to do.
It's a noble attitude to have. It's phenomenal, really, which is probably why it probably makes day-to-day life easy for you, because you're not harbouring hate, because there's enough on your shoulders to be harbouring hate as well, because it's heavy. Hate is heavy. You go to bed with hate on your shoulders, it's heavy. You can't walk the world feeling hateful.
I done when was it? Probably 2 years ago. I come out of a court case. I've never not had a court case hanging over my head since 2009. Since the start of the English Defence League, I've always been a weight in a court case. Waiting to go to jail. I'm sat here now waiting the same, yeah? Waiting to go to jail, waiting to go this. And for the first time, I was in a very bad place. I was in a very, very bad place. And I needed a break from life. So I booked into a rehabilitation clinic for 28 days. And when I went there and everyone's talking about why they're there, I said, you want the truth? I'm here for a break.
So let me just reverse back there. I was circling the word trust because we've covered that, but I also want to move on to panorama. So let me I want to bookmark panorama / panodrama.
Yep.
Because that's phenomenal, and it should be mandatory viewing. So we're going to come back to that. What did you just say then?
I said that I needed a break, and
Okay.
and it was COVID was going on, and there was no break. And when I say I needed a break, I needed somewhere where I could be clear-headed, be on my own, reevaluate everything. I'd had my divorce go through. I was essentially homeless because I'd split from my wife. I'd come out of a court case, which really took the wind out of me, which was the High Court case, which is currently why I'm sat abroad now because of the film that I made. Long story. And I needed a break. And in that break, I went to a rehabilitation centre where I sat there for the first few days thinking I didn't need to be there.
Rehabilitation from what?
So you have some people were there for sleeping tablets, some people were there for alcohol, some people were there for drugs, people were there for all different sorts of reasons.
Was it predominantly substance?
Substance abuse, yeah.
Okay.
The vast majority is substance abuse. And when I'm there, my thing was, whilst not thinking I needed to be there, I just thought, I need a break.
Was you abusing substances?
I have abused substances, but I always believed I was doing it of my own accord. Yeah.
And okay, let's just say using rather than abusing. Was you... The build up to you deciding to go into rehab, was you using substances and it made you think?
Not at that time, no. No, I was going on benders, yeah. But I think I'm choosing to go on a bender. I'd hit the alcohol, but when I drank,
because it's a bit.
I'd have a good time.
No, I get that. And we can come on to that, but sort of if. Some people, if they need a break or they need to clock out from.
I think that I'd built up. So I've never spoke about my feelings.
You didn't go to the Bahamas for a month. You chose rehab. So I'm trying to ascertain, why did you not go to the Bahamas for a week to regroup?
Because it was COVID.
Why did you choose rehab?
Because it was COVID.
All right. Is that what happened?
Because it was COVID. I thought, you know what? I'm going off my head here, yeah, and my head's fried.
Okay.
I've been in and out of jail. I was diagnosed post-traumatic stress disorder from I've done a year of solitary confinement. I've had all these pressures. I've still got all these pressures. I don't want to be drinking. I don't want to be going out. I don't want to be partying. I want somewhere I can. And at that time, I was thinking, do I need counselling? Do I need something like this? So I thought, what have I got to lose?
It weren't just a break. It was support you was after as well.
Yeah, I needed support. Yeah. So I needed to address my life.
And this is raw honesty from a leader of man, for a figurehead like yourself to actually openly say that, without me putting words in your mouth, that you wanted a break, but you also felt like you needed some support.
Yeah, I needed support, and I felt like I needed a break from life where I could put that away and not worry or think about anything but myself. Yeah, because I'm always thinking about a lot of other stuff other than myself.
Yes.
So I thought I need me time to look at me, to concentrate on me, to understand what's going on in my life, to understand where I'm at. And I'd gone from one bang to another bang: prison, divorce, violence, attacks, terrorism threats, all these things that I just bottled up. And as a man, we go, yeah, I'm all right. I don't give a shit. Like, I don't care. And I'll soldier through it. But then it got to a point where I felt like, wow, man, I'm on the verge of a breakdown here, yeah? And I need to address this. And so I took myself away. And then as I sat there and I listened to, and they tell you, don't look for the difference in when you're listening to someone talk, look for the similarities. So I'd always look down on brownheads, crackheads, drug addicts. I think scum. You're scum. Yeah.
Well, it's what crackheads and brownheads do to support their habit, which is scum behaviour.
Yeah, but I'd look down on them.
So you would think, I'm okay because I'm not there.
Yeah, you're a tramp.
Yeah.
Say to this person. But then as I sat listening to them talk around this thing, I thought, fucking hell. Yeah, I think that. Yeah, I do that. Yeah. And I was listening.
What were those things that you done, that they done?
Just different things about upsetting your family. My mum said this, my kids said this. Like, I might go out and not come home for a couple of days, or I disappear. Like, different things like that. So I'm listening.
Because you're on a bender.
Because I'm on a bender, and when you're on a bender, nothing else really matters. Yeah. And then you let people down. Does it affect you? Yeah. Have you done things you don't want to do? Yeah. Have you let people down? Have you caused upset to your family? Yeah. Yeah. Have your family asked you to stop doing it? Yeah. Have you stopped doing it? No. Yeah. So all these different things I'm looking through. And then you had to talk. And the first times I tried to talk, I broke down. And I thought, what the fuck's going on here?
I bet you did.
What the hell is going on here? And what it all come down to is fear.
The truth hurts.
Yeah, the truth.
Even your own truth.
Yeah. And fear. And it was all down to fear. So what my thing always comes from fear. I'm fearful now of what will happen if I'm not here. I'm fearful of what will happen if they manage to make my family homeless. I'm fearful of what would happen if my family are reliant on the state. I'm fearful of where my kids will lead when they leave school. What are my kids are they going to get careers? Are they going to get jobs? Are other children going to want to attack my family? It's all fear.
Which is disgusting.
Yeah, disgusting and upsetting. And again, it's something that I need to deal with. And it's me, it's my beliefs. It's all things that I haven't dealt with. And the fears I haven't dealt with, maybe the fear of being killed, maybe the fear of being in prison for 10 years, maybe the fear of all of these things. Yeah. And I never spoke about them, addressed them. And this is so when I first spoke about them, I remember talking about them. And I remember for a few years there, my boy was very emotional, my son, crying a lot. And I remember him saying he's got no one to talk to at the time of this. And I remember I was sort of like, as a father, boy, we're strong. Men are strong. You deal with shit. You're going to have a lot of shit to deal with in your life. You've got to deal with it as a man, yeah? And I remember that was sort of like my attitude to it. Like, you deal with it. Like, men don't have feelings. We don't show feelings, yeah? Men don't fucking cry.
We're the great pretenders, aren't we?
We are, man. Men don't do this, men don't do that. And that's sort of like where I led, that's sort of like how I was at, mate. Son, there's going to be a lot of problems as you grow up in your life, yeah? And this is chiseling the man you're going to become, yeah? And then when I sat down and spoke at this meeting, 20 people,
you must have realised that you were directly attached to emotional denial.
I rang up straight away and said, get my son a counsellor.
Well, from one friend to another, he's got the best counsellor. I see how you interact. I see the love that you feel for each other. It's abundantly apparent, and it's beautiful to see. So don't ever think that that you're less because what you've done, because you've done more. What you've done for the country is you've been thousands of people's father.
Yeah, no, I think as I was, whether you think.
I think, and Spencer knows that.
You've got to be tough. You've got to be a man. And then I think, no, you should have been talking about how you feel. Really, he should have been. But to let it off, and he probably had no one to let it off on. Because when I think about the things that they think, like, they're thinking, fuck, Dad's going to get killed, Dad's going to jail, Dad's this. Even now they're thinking it. So yeah. And then
you are their Superman.
Yeah.
You are their Marvel character, and I can see it in all your kids' eyes. You're to a lot of people in the country, you're their Marvel character. So can you imagine just how the pedestal that your children put you on I can see it. It's immense.
If I made them bottle it, that's why I always question myself: did I make you bottle up how you were feeling, or not talk about how you were feeling? Or because I think the things they've had to think, they should never have had to think. The concerns they've had to have, they should never have had to have as children. It's been put upon them. Probably by my politics, by my choice of life. But my choice of life has been for the greater good, which they understand as well. And they see, and I've spoke to them about all these things. But when it comes to emotion and feelings, like I'm talking about my son, because girls, it's right to be upset for some reason. And I sort of I was like that, like, no, we're men. We deal with it. And I'd never spoke about it because I'd always gone, no. And I realised when I was sat in this room, I thought, I'm talking about things I've never spoke about. I'm talking about feelings that have probably been bottled up for 10 years. Feelings and fears have been bottled up for 10 years, and they've drove me to this place. And then when you was on about how do I look for the good in other people?
Yeah.
So you have to write down your resentments, yeah? So you do a 12-step program, which was the most fascinating experience I've ever had in my life, yeah? I embraced it, and I actually really enjoyed it. I enjoyed the psychology of watching the other people. I enjoyed understanding what they were thinking and fascinating, all of it. You know? And the counsellors were so amazing. And at first I thought, you're an arsehole, yeah? Because they were tough. Hardline. Yeah? Scottish fella, unreal. Sikh fella, both of them unreal, yeah? And I thought, you're a bastard after the first day. And people try and butt in and they just kick them out. Fuck off. I don't need you to be here. You need to be here, yeah? You've come here because you've got nowhere else to go. Fuck off. Like,
Was he ex-military?
No, ex-crackheads, all of them. Ex-heroin addicts. Every one of them were ex ex-abuser.
Junkies are the most committed.
Yeah, with this,
They commit.
and what he tried to explain, like what they were explaining, and this is the resentment thing. So you write down your resentments. Now, I've always been resentful with the police, always, because I had a career. I was an aeronautical engineer. I studied for 5 years, and I lost my career because of my first ever offence, where I had a fight with an off-duty police officer. The off-duty police officer accepts that he rugby tackled me to the floor. Then he says he got up and he showed me his warrant badge, at which point I beat him up. Yeah. My thing, I'm 19 years old. Yeah. If you wouldn't have rugby tackled me to the floor, you wouldn't have got beaten up. Yeah. So I've been pissed off for the whole time. And because he said he had his warrant badge, I get done for assault with a police officer, where I lost my career. So I thought, you put me into a system you're meant to take me out of, yeah? I've always been resentful with the police for that. I've always been angry with the police. But what you have to do is you have to take every resentment and you have to look for where you were wrong. And you have to look for you have to reverse it and look at yourself every time.
Looking inward is powerful.
Yeah. So, and it helps you. And then all of a sudden you think, I'm not fucking angry anymore. Yeah, I was a prick.
Relief.
I was 19 years old. I was shouting my mouth off in the road at 2:00 in the morning. Of course someone's going to say something. Like, so you review it all and look at it so you look for the maybe the sympathy in their situation. You're trying to evaluate it very differently, which then helps you to, because that resentment, the resentment I've carried for the police for decades, even was carrying, it's not doing them any damage. It's doing me the damage. I'm carrying it. I've got resentment against all different sorts of people, which I'm upset about. So then you have to let all that go. And essentially coming out of there, I'm spiritual anyway. So a lot of it was about spirituality, living a clean life, which is difficult, especially difficult if you're from Luton Town, you've grown up.
Tommy Robinson is spiritual. You heard that there first.
Yeah. Not quite a clean spirit yet, though.
When
I've done so, and then you evaluate. And then when I was in there, I was evaluating even my marriage. Like, I was immoral at times, man. I was a bad person, have been at times. So question, it gives you time. It gave me time that I needed to question, to look inward in a deep way. You have to write down, fucking hell, man. Write down every negative thing you've done. Which takes a while.
But every single human being that walks the earth has done something bad at one time or another. The fact that you feel remorse and there's guilt deep in there, that shows you're a good person. And just before we move on, because I want to finish this 12-step program, because it's going to really, really help people watching this, and this will be out in the universe forever.
The 12-step program is an amazing. It's when you believe there's a higher power. It doesn't have to be God, but you believe there's a higher power than you. Yeah, of course there's a higher power than us. Yeah, then of course there is. Now, and you believe
there's only so much energy as a human being you can generate. Yeah, there's energy out there.
Yeah. And you need help from a higher power.
Ferocious energy.
And you can't deal with some problems in life yourself. You need to accept that, and that's what I accepted. And then you see the change in lives. And for example, when I went to Tenerife, I joined up with people who have done this 12-step program. And that's who become my sense of community and my friends. And the best people, I met an Irish lad there, one of the nicest men I've ever met in my life, whose everything is about helping others. And really look and think, well, you're like a really, really nice man. And I don't know many nice men. I don't know many nice men who give their time and give their life like this. But then through that program,
beautiful quality.
Through that program, that's all I met.
So is it safe to say, so a minute ago you said that you felt partly responsible for the way your children were feeling and maybe trying to make sense of everything, because your attitude was, life's tough, too bad, man up. So emotional expression prior 12 steps rehabilitation wasn't your strong point. You've got 1,000,001 other strong points, but emotional expression, which is vulnerability, sensitivity, putting your hands up in the air, accountability, wasn't your strong point. But since then, your emotional expression has become...
I've become a crybaby.
It's become... you're now a snivelling wreck.
Yeah, pussy.
And you wish you'd never done it. But no, your horizons are now broadened, which has just made you've now grown as a human being, and you'll be able to process stuff even better. And you'll probably never harbour the hurt and the guilt and self-loathing that you did previously when you couldn't really express your emotions. Whereas now you've learned that to let go and set yourself free by showing vulnerability puts you in a stronger place.
There's something when you write things down. There's something that it does when you write things down.
Would you say you're in a stronger place now that you've accepted vulnerability and that
a stronger place now, but still not. But still can have ups and downs like everyone else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? There's still pressures, immense pressures. Still trying to deal with them. Still sometimes you deal with them in the right way. Sometimes deal with them in the wrong way. But you know what the right way is, and you know what you should be doing.
But you can't be too hard on yourself.
No.
Because you are quite hard on yourself, aren't you?
Yeah, at times.
When I think people, if they knew you intimately and didn't take the bullshit from the tabloids, they would see what all your close friends see. A great man. There's a reason why you're invited to every single wedding and christening. There's a reason why your phone is always ringing. There's a good reason why when everybody that you know has a problem, they call you. I messaged Tommy one night. In fact, I didn't message Tommy. I messaged Steve one night, and I was joking. I'd done this little video where I was dancing around in the kitchen, fucking around. And I said, Tom, serious question, mate, if you've got a minute, I need some advice. Now, I wanted him to say, yeah, go on in, Tufsy. And I was going to send him the video and say, what do you think of my leg movement? But before I got to the punchline, as soon as he thought I had a problem, this was late at night, I was up on the piss. Bam, FaceTime. It's like, oh, fuck, that sport that. But the second Steve, Tom, Yaxley-Lennon thought that I could possibly have a problem, FaceTime, everything stopped. And I've seen him do that. I see you do that with all of your friends. And that's why there's a lot of love for you. And that's why that has permeated through the masses. Even people that don't really know you as well, they can feel that energy that we were speaking about.
You've met my mum, Liam.
I love your mum.
I get that from my mum, as you can see.
She is a wonderful woman.
My mother is literally Mother Teresa.
She's brilliant. Yeah. She
helps, and I don't know another human being like her.
You're peas in a pod, bruv. You may not see it. I see it. My mate who had dinner with us, who spent 3 days with you, unprompted, he sees the reason why the country love you. So it makes it even more damning and disgraceful, the lies that are printed, because you're never going to get a fair shout really at life by having lies printed about you and then being censored.
Lies you can't counteract.
Which we may as well go straight on to censoring now, because if you wasn't censored, I'll take it back to when you had your Twitter account, your Facebook account, where you had like way north of 1 million followers, and every time somebody printed nonsense about you, you would come back that day or the next day and go, actually, here's the footage of what happened, lies. And that is why your following got such momentum and power, and it just duplicated like this, like critical mass. Bam! Actually, people are lying about Tommy. This is what happened because I've seen it with my own eyes from something that he's published. But we have short memories. So now you've been censored. They soon worked out that shit, our lies won't stick if he can counteract the argument. There's no balance. Take you off Twitter, take you off Facebook, take you off all the mainstream media platforms. Now they can push their lies, agenda and bullshit on you, and you have no way of defending yourself. So where can people find you? If you read bullshit, where can they find you to see your side of the story?
In the cold plunge pool in southern Spain.
And how long do you normally sit in that
20 minutes in the cold plunge, bruv. Come on.
That's because I've done 18.5 minutes.
I don't like losing.
Yeah.
No, you can, with the censorship, yeah, it's part of national curriculum now. Every school child is being taught who I am. And they're not being taught anything that's realistic to who I am. They're not being taught any of the truth. They're being taught the usual headlines. I'm far right, I'm an extremist, I'm a bad person, I'm an evil person. And unfortunately, people in our generation will remember who I am. They remember my videos, they know, they argue all the time. But the new generation coming through now that I'm censored, they'll be told and indoctrinated as to who I am.
Of course.
They'll have a negative opinion of me. They're winning essentially by getting into the youth in the schooling system, the education system, while they're teaching them that boys are girls and girls are boys, and there's 72 genders. They're also teaching them that I'm an extremist, I'm a radical, and I'm a racist. Now,
you are quite extreme in the plunge pool, Tom.
I'm extreme in everything, mate. Everything, literally everything. So you can find me on Telegram. I have my Telegram group, Tommy Robinson News, which I'm lucky it's still there. I've managed to keep a community together of people. You can find me on Getter. It's an American app, GETTR, where I can go live and do my videos. But my content and my documentaries, I've made 7 in the last 2 years. Very good, very powerful films, really thought-provoking, really emotional.
Documentaries is on the list. So if you're on a roll and you've got documentaries in the forefront of your mind, let's talk about your documentaries. So just Getter, Telegram. Yep. You've also launched a new podcast called Silenced.
So Rumble, let me clear something up as well, because whenever I watch these podcasts back, I always see comments saying he's off his tits, he sniffed off his head, yeah? I'm not, from where, say I've just got emotional 10 minutes ago, yeah? So my nose is running. So I just want to clear that up, all right? If I had been on the sesh when I was sitting here, I'd be under that table, under the bed, all curtain twitching out that window, right? I haven't, all right? So let's clear that up.
And I've been back and forth for the last month on a health retreat.
Yeah.
I'm getting in shape.
Looking good, Liam. Can we just say that?
Come on now.
Great,
Come
bro.
on.
You're looking fabulous, man.
Thank you.
And that is your colour.
Yeah, it's a bit of me.
Yeah, you're looking
I'm going to
great.
wear this for every podcast.
You're looking very good, bruv.
Yeah.
He's looking very good, very fit.
So I'm on a fitness thing. Yep. My message is health and wealth and earning the beef and earning the right to go out and, let your hair down. So, yeah, he's definitely not on the session currently.
Not on the minute.
Not at this precise moment. This is business.
I'll be good, man. I've got my kids here as well for 3-4 weeks. And I'll be honest, I'll sit here now and say I never want to have a drink again. But will I have a drink again? Probably. But I don't want to.
There's always a function that's going to make it very difficult not to do that. But one step at a time.
One step at a time.
One step at a time. So they're your platforms. That's your new podcast, which is it's going to make an enthralling watch. I've been privy to what, and I watched one live with Gavin McGuinness, and it was great. Yeah. I'm looking forward to watching that back. You also, I was a guest, and I'm looking forward to watching that back.
It's out next Thursday.
Thursday. I'll have a good look at that. And also, you agreed to be a guest on mine, and I'm delighted. Not that we're wrapping this up yet, but just while we're showing gratitude, and we're big on gratitude. Gratitude is the attitude. So it's not the final note. I'm delighted that you agreed to be the first guest on my podcast. I wouldn't have wanted anybody else to be the first person, because it's good to set the record straight, because it's aggravating for people that know you well, to read nonsense about. It's like one of the kindest people I know, and he's being made out to be the devil. So I'm thoroughly enjoying this as well. I'm loving this conversation. I could go on for hours, because there's so many other things that I want to discuss with you, even things that I don't know, to humanize you. So, Panorama, what would you like to discuss next? Panorama or Oxford Union? Let me just say,
Oxford Union, I love taking the Oxford Union speech on YouTube. One of my only films that's still left that was my content on YouTube. Watch the Oxford Union address, and it has tens of thousands of comments. And I love reading those comments, because those comments are, whoa, I thought this bloke was a racist arsehole. How wrong was I? Yeah. Comments from black girls saying, I'm so angry, I've been lied to about this man. Yeah. And the comments are all 99% positive for me. Totally.
We've been deceived by the media.
Yeah, that's it.
We've been deceived.
That's what the comments are.
We're meant to be on the same team, and we have been deceived by our own.
And I walked into Oxford Union, and just so people understand, it's the most prestigious debating society in the world, yeah? Oxford University. For me to be invited there as a working class Luton kid, I was blessed. Yeah, I thought this is great. Yeah, and this was the first opportunity I'd had since starting the English Defence League to give my side of the story. And I was given 45 minutes, but my speech was an hour and 15. So when I went in there, you're meant to have a 3-course meal. So every single person that gets invited there gets a 3-course meal. They didn't give me one. Yeah, so they invited me, but didn't invite me. Right? They didn't want and it was a Pakistani girl who's a student from Pakistan, from a wealthy family in Pakistan, who was the chair. She's sitting behind me on the screen when you watch it. When I walked in there, I was being booed, I was being hissed, I was being called a fascist. I ended my speech and I looked at 45 minutes, because the bloke said, you've got no more than 45 minutes. And I just carried on talking, and he just looked and nodded. So he let me go. Yeah. And he said afterwards, it was so engaging, I didn't want to stop you. Yeah. And I remember the Pakistani girl had come up to me afterwards as well and saying, Tommy, I never knew any of this. Yeah. And I remember, and I kept asking one poignant question, which I planned, because when I prepared for the speech, I kept asking him, what would you have done? So I told him what I'd done, but before I showed him what I'd done, I asked him, if this happened to you in your town, and I went through my life story. And the mad thing is, a week before that, probation had turned up at my house and they'd locked me in prison. So I was due to talk at Oxford University on the Thursday. 2 days before, they'd come and arrested me and put me back in jail on a 28-day recall to prevent me talking at Oxford University. Because what I was due to do at Oxford University, which I told probation, I was going to expose that security services had tried to recruit me. A secretive organisation called the Metropolitan Intelligence Bureau, which is a secretive unit in Scotland Yard, had approached me in prison in 2015 after I left the English Defence League, wanted me to come out of jail and unite the right for them and work for them as an informant for them. Yeah? When I said no, they'd started a campaign of harassment and blackmail, basically, which if they're doing that to me, I can only imagine what they're doing to many of the Muslim kids who end up getting done for terrorism or put in jail. MI5 are always in contact with them. Yeah. So there's always dirty, underhand tactics. The British have been the best at it throughout history. In every war, in every battle, they're on both sides. It's a sick, dark history. And that's currently what they were doing with me. So I told probation, I'm exposing the lot. Yeah. They come and recall me in jail for 28 days. So then I come out of jail. And then I'll contact Oxford University, said, look, they stopped me. They put me in jail. Please give me the opportunity again. So they give me the date. So as probation come, and my probation lead was the head of counterterrorism. Yeah. So, which was for mortgage fraud. I was in jail for mortgage fraud, but my probation lead was the head of counterterrorism. So she's come and see me. I said, I'm back in Oxford. I'm laughing, yeah. Thinking, you think you stopped it, yeah? I'm back at Oxford University next week, so I win, yeah? And then she's like, okay. And then they come back to me and they give me a list of things I'm not allowed to talk about. Mohammed, Islam, police. They listed all these things. And I don't like losing, man. I don't like letting them win. So they give me a written list saying I would be recalled back to prison again if I breach any of these areas, talk about any of these areas. So I looked at it. She's in my house. And I said, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, that's not a problem. And she said, well, are you going to cancel it? I said, no, I'm not going to cancel it. I'm going to talk at Oxford University.
So did you just alter your speech
to
accommodate?
If you watch the start of my speech at Oxford University, I say, what I came here to talk to you about, which was an expose of the police and the security services, I'm not allowed to talk to you about because I'll be put in prison. I don't have freedom of speech. But because of that, it's the best thing they could have done. Because instead, what I'm going to do today is I'm going to talk to you about my life. And I'm going to let you understand who I am and why I'm the person I am. Yeah. And I just went through my life experiences, all backed up with video evidence with, for example, when September 11th, the towers went down, at my local shops, there were pictures of the Magnificent 19, the bombers. Yeah. So I show those pictures. So when you went to your shops after September 11th, what would you have done if these posters were on all the shops where you lived? I know a boy, Mark Sharp, was murdered by a Pakistani gang, snapped the knife off in front of his son was my age, he was 11. They snatched the knife off in his head. What would you have done if that happened to someone you knew? 68 attacks against non-Muslim homes, old West Indian couple. I know their sons. So I went through all the things, showing the examples, saying, you have to understand where I'm from to understand why I feel the way I do, why I've stood up the way I've stood up, to understand the problems. And when people got to see them and they saw that when the far right tried to join your organisation, what would you have done? And then I show me burning a swastika. Then I show me making videos saying you're not welcome, yeah? I say, would you have done this? Because that's what I done, yeah? And each time I challenge, they're probably sitting thinking, yeah, I'd have done that. That's what I'd have done. So by the end of it, they think, oh, he's reasonable. You're not far right. You're not an extremist. You're a normal person who's fed up with his hometown being taken over and destroyed. But that was Oxford University, and it was probably the best speech to date I've given. I'd just come out of jail then as well, so I was fresh, I was clean, I was fit, I was.
You had a good haircut that day.
Well, no, it was a terrible haircut because I'd had it shaven here. It's awful, man. When I look at it now, I look back at so many things and think, what are you thinking? What are you thinking? But yeah.
I'll tell you what you were thinking, mate. You were thinking real straight, because the Oxford Union speech, can we make sure that the Oxford Union speech goes in the comments so that anyone with any sort of opinion on Tom, just watch that. If it's of a negative view, or I don't know, you believe what you've read time and time again, and don't forget, indoctrination's a powerful thing. You tend to believe what you read, especially when you read it on Machine Gun, especially if part of you wants to believe it.
And it supports your narrative.
Yeah, exactly. But I challenge you, I encourage you to go and watch the Oxford Union speech. I'll put the link in the comments so that it's nice and easy for you. Take an hour and 20 minutes out of your life before you start judging and shouting and hollering and calling people things that they're not. Just watch that, get a better understanding. The Oxford Union speech was something that I watched before we met.
It's something that
satisfy my curiosity.
If I meet people, I send it to them. If I meet people and new people and I meet someone, say we met someone here and I think they're going to Google me, I quickly send them that video.
Oxford Union.
Before you Google, watch this. Yeah? Then you know I'm not that bad, right? Don't Google because I'm fucked. But yeah, and do you know what? There is not allowed to be a positive portrayal of me shown, and I'll give you an example.
Of course, that's why we're here doing this today, because it's one thing that I wanted to. I said to you, I was brutally honest. It's like, I want a positive message. I want the truth put out there about you. I don't like injustice.
Well, I said when I had my platform, I had social media. I had big social medias. So if I'm going to use it for positive, I'll start off, I'm not going to name the charity, but there was a young girl, she was 2 years old, she was the same age as my daughter Poppy. And I watched this video on social media, I'm sitting there at home, and the music and everything about this little girl. And it was about raising money for this little girl who needed £200,000 for life-saving treatment in the United States. And at the end of the video, the men were running from Liverpool to Brighton, from one hospital to another. Yeah, they were Royal Marines, they were all ex-military, and they were doing this fundraising. At the end, he looked at the camera, he said, don't like and share this. Don't just like and share it. Do something about it. Yeah? We need help. So I sat there and made a video, and I said, I've just watched a video which has really hit me, because the little girl reminds me of my daughter. Yeah? And I looked up, it's neuroblastoma was the childhood cancer. So I looked up and I saw that Greece, and I saw that lots of other countries in Europe, their National Health Service, the equivalent of, fund the treatment. But then in Britain, it doesn't fund the treatment. So I thought, if you're a millionaire, your daughter's got a much better chance in saving her life than this family. So money is being put in the way of saving this little girl's life. I couldn't believe it. I could not understand it. That we are Great Britain, the best country in the world, the most developed country in the world, but we're not funding. We're funding boob transplants. We're funding all this bullshit for people. We're funding all this nonsense through the NHS. And we're not funding the ability to save a child's life. So that child has a better chance if they're rich. So I made a video just saying, look, to my supporters, I've just seen this and I really want people to do something about it.
You're not naming the girl.
No, I'm not naming the girl,
Okay.
not naming the charity, and I'll get on to why.
Okay.
So we raised tens of thousands of pounds.
Charity's on my list.
Yeah, we raised tens of thousands of pounds for this girl. Yeah. Then the charity that we were raising the money for come out and refused my money. They refused it, due to who I am. And I remember watching Sonia from EastEnders. Shout out to Sonia. I remember watching her on Loose Women or one of those shows. Furious. She said, I cannot believe they've refused money from Tommy Robinson. I cannot believe it. It's charity. The girl's dying. Yeah. Who cares? Right? There's a girl that's going to die. Yeah?
Well, that's actually sick.
It's sick. It's sick.
Sick.
It's sick.
Yeah.
So what they said is they were going to match, because the charity were that embarrassed by the headlines and the reaction to it by the public, they're going to match the money that was put in by my supporters. So they're going to refund all my supporters. So then the family contacted me of the girl. I didn't know them. Yeah? And they said, we're outraged at what's gone on there. We're absolutely outraged. We thank you for making the video you made. We thank you for your supporters. But we're outraged. And then I become talking to the family. And I said, don't worry. It's actually quite good because they're going to put the money back in. So they're going to match that amount. And I'll tell my supporters to donate again some other way. Yeah. That's happened. Sadly, this little girl lost her battle. I was invited by the family to attend the funeral, which I attended.
I also, sorry to cut in, Tom. I also know firsthand how when something like that happens, when either the inevitable happens or you can't save a life, I also know how it affects you. I know you're not just doing it for the kudos of it. You emotionally bond to it, you connect to it, you commit to it, and when it ends in tears,
Mate,
it ends in tears for you also because you care.
Well, this charity...
Am I right?
I never fought. So I then picked another couple of children. There was a little boy called Dylan.
Okay, well, let's do the charity then,
Yeah.
because you're on it, and I don't know what you want to name, what you don't want to name. If I mention a name and we want it cut out, we can edit it out. So I've got all the charity work that you do that does not get reported on.
Well, no,
So-
they don't just not get reported on. Do you know what they done? They tried to close the charity. Children's Cancer Charity.
Because I've got
They tried to close it.
I've got a few charities here that you have done wonders for, just to name a few. Again, it's public perception. Take this on board, digest it, ask yourself when you're sitting in your ivory tower judging people, ask yourself, have you done a tenth of what I'm just about to mention? Probably not. I've got Help Daisy get her wheelchair. Dylan's Christmas Wish. Knox, you helped a veteran get his wheelchair.
He's a legend, man.
That is just a few that I've rattled off. Otherwise, this could be an entire podcast on the charity work that you've done off your own back, from the kindness of your own heart. You gave back. Just touch base on what compelled you to do that time after time after time after time, and also not overly publicise it, because I know that you don't like polishing your own halo. You're a very modest, humble guy. So if I'm prompting you, just roll with it and let me know what you've done and why.
I was in a gifted position where I'd built a mass following who trusted me and had love for me, that I realised I could use that in a positive way. people. So I began to choose people and choose campaigns that meant a lot to not just me, but I knew they mean a lot to my supporters. And it was the most immense feeling and the most empowering feeling to know that I felt absolutely blessed. And I remember feeling afterwards, for example, Dylan's Christmas wish was a young boy, and I'd organised a book launch in Manchester. And I'd sold 1,000 tickets for this book launch. And then the police forced the venue to cancel. But lots of people were saying, we don't want the money back. Keep the money, Tommy, yeah? So I said, I'll choose something for your money to go on. So I looked around and I found a young boy who was unfortunately terminally ill. And this is where you have to really think about the people who are involved in these charities. This young boy was terminally ill. I got to know the dad. I got to know the grandma. I got to know the boy. And then I went, which they thought I was going to interview them, because I saw that the boy had a dying wish, which was to visit Disneyland, to visit Florida. Yeah. So before I went into the house, just before I went into his house, they think we're there to interview them and hear about what's happened with his life. So before I went into the house, I looked at, they wanted £10,000. So I went on to GoFundMe and I donated £10,000 from Tommy Robinson supporters. Remember, this isn't from me. Yeah. I'm just the person who's been given this gift of to be in a position to galvanise these people with their money. Yeah? So I donated the £10,000. And when I sat down and interviewed the family, I said, how much money do you need? And it was a great, and they said, we need £10,000. I said, do you know the specific amount? Have you had any donated? I said, yeah, can you give me the specific figure? And they go on GoFundMe and they see the £10,000. And they're like, what the fuck? And I said, you're going to Florida. Yeah, and I'm in that. My supporters have given me that opportunity, which was an amazing opportunity to see the enjoyment in the boy, enjoyment in his family.
You're going to make me tear up.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It
is beautiful.
It was beautiful, but my supporters have given me that. Yeah, they've given me that, and they've given me time and time again. So from that, I realized
you chose where that went.
Yeah, I chose where that went, and then I realized I'm in a great position here. I can do this time and time again. We can change lives here. Yeah. For that, we sent Dylan, and unfortunately, Dylan went to Florida, and Dylan lost his battle, and Dylan passed away. And then I realised that I only met Dylan a handful of times, yeah? I met his family. But the charity that were working with them, they work with these kids every day. They get close to each kid. Each kid dies, man. So I thought, that must be a knock every month, every week for you people. So then you realise how important these people and these charities are. Now, this charity that was set up all as volunteers, because some of them are on 5-figure salaries. Yeah? So then my admiration for these charities. Yeah. So this one charity that we've been working with, we're going to beat their name out that you named earlier, but this one charity that had helped them, I'd watched them help so many kids. And then whatever part I could play in raising money, I paid it. The charity commission come onto them because I was involved. Because I raised money, they literally, basically threatening to bring this charity down because I'd raised money. So anything that gave a positive reflection of me had to be stopped.
You would expect that if it was proceeds of crime.
But they didn't care if they were cut. They wouldn't have cared if they were shut. They'd have shut down this charity.
Yeah.
Sod the kids they're helping. Sod the goodness they're doing. We can't have Tommy Robinson looking like he's anything positive. So I see the lengths they went to with this charity, the pressure they put on the charity. Yeah. So I had to step totally away from that charity, and then I've never helped that charity since. Yeah. Because I don't want to jeopardise my involvement. I don't want to jeopardise the amazing work that they do. Now, when you see that, when I come out of jail, people have donated a lot of money to me when I was in jail for legal fees. When I come out, I went to a Haven holiday camp. Yeah. In North Wales. I went in, said, I want to buy that caravan. Yeah. I've got money in the bank, I want to buy that caravan. I want to buy the caravan for this charity. Yeah. Because I was Tommy Robinson, they wouldn't sell me the bloody caravan. So a children's caravan site, I said, I'm not buying it for me. I'm buying the caravan for these children. Terminally ill children will come and stay in this caravan. Yeah. As a break. And it's not just the children that need a break. What I realised when I worked with this charity is, say your mum's got a little girl who's going through neuroblastoma, but they've got 2 brothers and sisters. Those brothers and sisters, the mum's at the hospital every day. They don't even get to see the brothers and sisters really, yeah? So the brothers and sisters need a break. The brothers and sisters need a holiday. Everyone needs a break in this family. Everyone needs a break, yeah, from the battle of struggle and the loss. And so then what we done was we picked brothers and sisters who had lost their siblings. We'll help them. We'll give them a holiday. We'll give them a great Christmas. We'll give them presents. So we've done lots of little things like this. And Knox was one of the best. There was a campaign we done which was getting Knox. Knox was a military veteran who was a bit of a legend in the Navy. And when I mean, like, I met this fella You know, you meet some people, you just click. Yeah, you relate with them straight away. Knox had lived his whole life. People had told me about him. Said, mate, he's a machine. He fights everything. Yeah, and then he has MS. Yeah, but what they say is just sit in your wheelchair and that's it now. Yeah, but Knox would go in his wheelchair and jump off the pier. Yeah, and swim because he could still use his arms. He wanted to fight and battle everything.
Legend.
Mate, when you hear his life, they used to play squash. When they play squash, they have to punch each other in between it. So you hit the ball and you got to hit the other one. Yeah, everything was about fighting. Yeah? he was a boxer in the Navy. He was everything in his life. And when I met him, and I sat there thinking, I thought I was a bit masculine and a bit of a lad. I sat there and thought, this is the most masculine man and the most warrior man I've ever sat in front of. And here he is now told his life's ended. And he should just sit in a wheelchair. But he didn't want to sit in a wheelchair. And he said, I want to fight. And do you know when I say he wanted to fight? He refused a stair lift. Yeah, so he couldn't walk. He couldn't use his legs. He used to drag himself up the stairs every night because he wanted to fight. Yeah. So a warrior, brother. Total warrior, man. A warrior and one of the nicest families I've met.
Yeah, respect to that man.
You should meet him. He's a great man. Daisy, there was Daisy, a little girl, beautiful, gorgeous little girl. One of 7 children, was she? There was another little family, man. Another family, which is a small world, yes. There was a military fellow whose missus was terminally ill. We raised money for him, sent him on holiday. And madly, I was in the middle of North Wales in some random little place that I stopped in. And this is years after it. And then I just heard Tommy turn around and it's the husband. Sadly, his wife had passed away. But we bumped into each other in some little supermarket in North Wales. Said, it's mad how the world brings people back together.
Yeah, it's incredible. I mean, again, that goes back to spirituality, the energy. There is a higher force. There is a greater force out there. I'm not religious by any respect. If I'm going to believe in somebody, I'm going to believe in me. I respect other people's wishes. If they want to believe in something for a bit of spiritual comfort, gets them to sleep at night. But I'm 100% with you. There is something out there that's more powerful than us. And that's why it all comes sort of back full circle. But I'm glad that you've rattled off the good that you've done, because I know that unless you were prompted, you wouldn't do it because you don't like polishing your own halo, to coin a phrase. And it's awkward talking about it's a lot easier to give than to take. And by you basically documenting and reminding everybody what you've done, it's taking, isn't it? It's like it's taking credit.
Yeah, and you've got to take credit. Because it's not what I've done either. It's what my supporters have done, because I didn't spend £26,000 on a wheelchair for Knox. It was my supporters who give their hard money every time.
And again, you're doing exactly the same thing that you always do. You're being selfless. And for all of that, like, my full respect. And I want to take it now to something slightly more sensitive. I want to talk about your divorce.
Right.
Well, I want to hear about your divorce.
Basically, I'd had fucking enough of her.
Yeah, well, that's fair dues.
She took the piss for years.
Yeah. we'll be out all night.
She done nothing wrong. She's the most selfless, amazing mother. Couldn't ask for a better wife. I was an arsehole.
Okay, so...
Putting it simply.
But there's going to be more to it than that.
Yeah, there's a lot.
There's going to be more to it than that, because she stuck through you thick and thin. She stuck by you thick and thin, and... people will have their own ideas as to why the marriage broke down.
The marriage had broke down multiple times. The marriage had broke down. So basically, I lived a single life for a few years there. Yeah, when I was leading the English Defence League, I was travelling the country. Then at the point of doing my journalism in my first few years, I was all over the world, all over the country. We had sort of had a bit of a breakdown in our relationship. Through me, nothing else. I acted like a single man. I lived like a single man, which come on top. That's basically it. And at that point, and even then, I think she still stood by me. Even then, she still stood by me. But the final straw was people come and live streamed where she lived with the children. And then it brought danger to the house. A man threatened to kill my children. She said she now has to make a decision based on the safety.
Is that the guy that said on camera, "I'm coming to mince your kids"?
Oh, by the way, Tommy, I am going to mince your kids.
That was Dick Coughlin, the redhead man who was hired by lawyers to serve papers on my family. They intentionally done it. It's all in my latest film that had been put out and leaked.
I'm assuming that he's been arrested.
Never arrested, no.
What?
No, none of them ever arrested.
So a guy on camera has named you and told you he's going to mince your kids.
Yeah, it doesn't
matter.
Not
arrested?
No, Jenna called the police. So let me explain what happened. I'm out of the country. they intentionally find out where my children live, and they send someone to live stream the address.
And who are they?
They are Mohammed Akunji. So Mohammed Akunji is Shamina Begum's lawyer, Michael Adebolajo's lawyer. He's every lawyer. If you've beheaded someone, raped them, pillaged them, and you've done it in the name of Islam, he's your man you go to, yeah?
Right.
So he is allegedly, according to a Daily Mail journalist, he is a former member of Al-Mujahideen, a terrorist organisation. So he's ideologically on board. He's a radical, and he wanted to take me down because I stand up against Islam. So to do that, he targeted my family. He hired an Antifa extremist who threatened to murder my family, but the intention was to live stream where my kids lived. So my ex-wife had a house. The children were settled in this house. All of a sudden, it's live streamed. From that minute on, they could never go back to that house. The real threat is that terrorists want to kill me. This man who shared the live stream is the lawyer for every jihadist in the country. They were all given the location of my family. They had to move. It had a terrible effect on my kids because I then had 3 children in 3 different schools. We had to relocate them all schools. We had to relocate houses. And then even when they went to their new house, hope not hate, then found their new house, sent someone there to deliver more papers for me, even though they know we're separated. So then she had to leave that new house that was rented. Then she moves to a new house and they've done it again. So that groups like Nick Lowell's have continually targeted my family, not me. Yeah, they've gone for the weak spot every time.
And how many years were you married?
We were married it would have been 12 years last week.
So, okay. Congratulations, and I'm sorry to hear that because I know they love you, Phil.
No, Jenna had to make a decision based on her children, and I'm glad she made the decision she did.
And I respect that totally. And I think any other self-respecting man will.
And since that point, I haven't lived in the UK because
they'll tip their hat to you and say, you know what, fair play. Your moral compass is in check. So this is what I'm trying to get round without saying it out loud. Is that yes, you behave. You got 12 years of marriage, and then God knows how long before you even got married. So is that
8 years, 20 years.
So a 20-year relationship with a complementary other, male and female should complement one another. We can come to misogyny down the line. That's an interesting topic because I was raised by women and I love and adore women. But going back, so you say that you had 2 years living like a single man. Now, in every relationship, there has to come a point where if a man's going to be successful and he's got drive and he wants to excel in life and get ahead, sometimes you have to cut a little bit off you to grow. Doesn't mean to say it's cut off forever. You can stitch it back on. And a lot of the time that is a relationship or a marriage. So maybe you living as a single person to excel and progress in life, which eventually will support the family.
You know what you're doing? You're doing what I was doing.
Making allowances for you.
Allowances for me, bruv. Come on. I love it.
Boom.
But there is no allowance. I was a wrong one.
But, okay, you was a wrong one. But also, what about the outside pressure? You said the final straw was these people turning up to your house.
I was a great leader to the English Defence League. I was a great journalist, but a shit husband. That's the reality of it. So that's the reality of it, which probably mixing the two, being a great family. Can you do it all at once? Probably not. The movement took over my life. The English Defence League took over my life. I see, and I still see, that we are in a battle of our generations. This is the most serious position this country's been in 1,000 years of history. We're in danger. And the danger is far bigger than just me and my family. So I believe that, thrown myself into that. So at times in a bad place, at times in a good place. But the whole time of that, my wife, or now ex-wife, just wanted to be a mum. Just wanted to be a wife. I don't care about politics, Stephen. Like, I don't give a shit. Like, because most women don't.
Do you still love your wife?
Yeah, of course do you. Only one woman for me.
That's beautiful.
But there's been quite a few. I'm joking. No.
Whoa. Tommy, you're not allowed to joke because it'll get taken out of context. And before you know it, you'll be all over the front page of the newspaper and they'll find something else to chastise you over.
It's like, look, it's like, yeah, she just wanted to be a mum, man. But we're still like best friends anyway. So
perfect. How did you meet?
How did we meet?
Tell me how you met your wife.
So, Space nightclub in Luton, absolute hole. Absolute hole. I remember going up to her saying, I've lost my phone number. Can I have yours? At which point, pathetic, absolutely pathetic. But she was, a very close family friend of hers was a cousin of my mate. And she said no. Yeah.
Well, you're not having my number.
She gave me a different number, I think, at the time. Yeah. Blew me off. And then.
Blew you off?
Yeah, not
You're not having my number, but I'll blow you off.
Yeah. And literally, I was driving. I had this Corsa C13 RSA was the number plate, red. It was fully loaded, not in red. It had like changed colour in the sun. Yeah. And I had a TV in it. So she's blew me out, or she took my number, but hasn't messaged me. I'm then driving along, and I'm with the lads. We were what would I have been, 18? Just driving. Yeah, maybe 18. And I'm driving down Wigmore Lane in Stopsley and Luton, and we're driving watching porn. We thought it's hilarious. Right?
Why wouldn't you be?
We had a TV, yes. We were all driving along, just thinking we're boys. And
German, retro?
And I can't remember, man. It weren't tranny porn. And
there's no funky shit.
And I got a text message. Saying, "Is that really you in that car?" So I didn't even pull her the car
because we can see pornography here.
So I think going back. So before this incident, we were at my house in Stopsley, my mum's house. There's about 50 of us. Yeah? We're all meeting on a Friday night, all the lads, and we're all in the road. And then I see these two worldies, that I've never seen. And they walked into this house.
When you say worldy, just
10
out of 10 stunning.
10 out of 10, yeah. And they walked in this house. And this is when I was young. I was only probably 15, 16 or something like that. 16.
God, you got some history.
These two very attractive girls have gone into this house midway up the road. So I thought, I know every girl around here. I don't know these girls. Yeah. So I went up there and posted a picture of me and my mate through the letterbox which was her dad's house. Yeah. I bet he regrets that.
But you didn't know it was her dad's house?
No, I knew. I just see these two girls go in the house.
Yeah.
We knew they're in the house. We know that's their house.
Right.
Posted a picture through. So she remembered that. That was the first time I'd ever seen her. Yeah. A couple of years later, because she didn't live there, her dad lived there. She lived the other end of town.
And that weren't a regular occurrence for you posting pictures of yourself through.
It's strange.
Girls that you fancied doors. That was a special moment.
That was a special moment. Yeah. Special moment.
Yeah, nice.
And it was a girl, and I knew all the girls around there, and I thought, I don't know you. Who's this? And she was stunning. So posted a picture through, didn't get anything back. Gave her my number in the club, didn't get anything back. See her when I'm driving my little sported up car, and boom, she texts. So the car pulled her.
Because you were watching porn?
The car pulled her, bruv. The car pulled. So then she texts, and from that point, I think at the time I had a girlfriend. Yeah, I did.
She had to go?
She had to go. She had to go.
So you saved her a lifetime of stress.
Yeah, because her dad, do you know the ex girl? Her family were lovely, man. Her dad was one of the nicest men I've ever met in my life. Old Irish boy. Sadly, he passed away a few years. And before he passed away, I got a message of her sister. This is the girl I went out with at school, saying my dad's always loved you, Stephen. Yeah, it would mean the world to him. He's not got long left. So I went up to see him. And I went up to see him and said, if there's any problems with your daughter, your youngest daughter, then I'm always here. So whatever happens, Paddy, your family can always contact me if there's ever a problem with anything. And
that speaks volumes that, like, ex-partners of yours,
from when I was at school,
there's no animosity, and also that their parents like you.
Yeah, from when I was at school, the parents, and I said to him when I sat down, I said, Paddy, I bet you think you had a lucky escape, bro. When you look at where my life's gone, man. Because I hadn't seen him since I was, 16? I said, look where my life's took me. Your daughter would have been by my side. Like, you had an escape, mate. You had an escape. He
still enjoyed watching it from the sideline.
Yeah, he said, I've watched it. He said, I've watched it all. He's a great lad. Lovely man. And, yeah, funny.
So when you pulled up next to your soon-to-be wife.
Yeah. That's when we started talking. What
did you do, shout out the window?
I can't. And then I used to go down and pick her up. And there was something straight away with her, yeah. I liked her straight away.
Yeah, nice.
Yeah, I liked her straight away. And then...
I like a love story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a rocky love story, bruv.
Yeah, it is. I mean, you could
you could
probably write a book.
Bruv, I remember saying, like, yeah, I've wrote two.
Yeah.
You can buy it at www.trsilence.com. I've got to get that in because I always forget.
You saved me. That's one of the questions. There you go. So you've got a book called Silence?
I've got a book called End Me Estate, which is my life story up until the point of 2015 when I come out of custody when I'd left the English Defence League. And then my latest book is called Silence, which was banned from Amazon, which is ironic because it's called Silence. You can buy Hitler's book in 20 different languages, but you can't buy mine, which says something.
What's Hitler's book called?
Mein Kampf.
Mein Kampf.
And you can buy that, which is fucking insane. But you can't buy my book. It's mad, isn't it? It's mental, isn't it?
It's beyond a joke. And the very, very first book that you've done, which anyone that speaks to me that knows that we're friends, they always, even if I could be abroad, if they recognise me from the internet, they know that I'm friends with you. They always say, I read his book, Enemy of the State, and it was the best thing I've ever read. I've not read any of them yet.
Oh, it had a great reception, Enemy of the State. It went to number 1 3 times. Number 1 bestseller 3 times, which is great because we didn't have a publisher.
So there's 3 books to choose from: Enemy of the State,
Silenced, Muhammad's Quran, Why Muslims Kill for Islam.
Muhammad's
Quran.
Quran.
That's banned as well. You can't buy that now.
But you can purchase all 3 of those books where?
Purchase 2 of them on trsilenced.com.
Okay.
And yeah. And do you know what? When I first wrote Enemy of the State, it was sort of like in a way of, I thought, I want my children to understand what I've done. They're going to read a lot about me. And I was always writing in the past. What was past?
You wanted to give them the why. I'm going to read those books.
Yeah.
Even though I know stuff, I'm going to read them in your own words.
And essentially the why. And I was always at that time thinking I'll be dead. I made 40. Never thought I'd make 40. When 6 Muslims were put in jail for guns, bombs, and suicide notes, I thought, I am their target, yeah? If they want to cause a war, they want to cause problems, come for me, yeah? So I thought very reality situation is here. At some point, it's going to come on top. And I want my children to hear from my words why. I want them to understand why Dad done what he done. Not look at me and think, Dad, you didn't love us. You didn't pass first. I want them to understand that there was a lot going on and to understand my motives and my reasons why.
And to confirm, you've said it to me on a number of occasions, you have not got a single problem with your average day Muslim that uses their belief for spiritual comfort.
If it gives them something positive and it keeps them on a direct thing and they can take certain parts of it and lead their life in a good way, then good for them.
And there'll be Christians that if they follow the radical First Testament, you would strongly oppose them too.
Yeah, but they're not. There's no Christians beheading.
I know they're not, but if.
Yeah, mate, if Christians were beheading people and quoting the Bible, yeah, I'd have a problem.
So it's more than reasonable that you are going to take umbrage to people that follow the Quran to the letter.
But if you speak out against Christianity, you're celebrated. Yeah, it's celebrated. If you mock Jesus, it's hilarious. Yeah. Islam has given this special protection. We're back onto Islam.
But just to clarify.
Yeah. To clarify, I have no problem at all with individual people who live their life. I believe that
it's the idea you have the problem with, not the person.
Muslims are people. If you hate all those people, it's a problem. If you have a problem with an ideology, you want to pick fault with a book, that's your God-given right, and everyone should do so. We have a right to do that.
So if you're a kind, caring Muslim that treats the holy book as a buffet and just take the good bits to better their lives, am I right in saying you have literally zero problem with them and they in return should have zero problem with you?
Zero problem at all. And in return, and just to clarify as well, the vast majority of what you see are the flashpoints on the internet. You see Muslims confronting me. Yeah, that's not the vast majority of Muslims.
Most of them come and embrace you and have a conversation.
Yeah,
of course.
And most of them are very loving. Most of them have great conversations with me. Most of them want to plead with the fact that they don't believe the badness. They're not following this and view it from their point of view. I have some fascinating conversations. And also I see that they're in a position as well, some of them. It's like, but that's not me, man. I don't believe all this. Like, but when you're talking about Islam, you're talking about my religion. I said, yeah, but it's in your religion. Like, so I'm going to talk about it. It doesn't mean I hate you. I also say to them, do you think I hate you? And most Muslims leave me, and I've sat with many Muslims and say, oh, bruv, you're actually all right. I said, yeah, get past the media headline, man. I don't hate you. Yeah, I don't hate you. All right, but I'm going to talk openly and honestly. I'm not going to bullshit you. Which again, many Muslims are like that as well. They don't want to be bullshitted. I've sat with him.
It's insulting.
Yeah, it's fucking diversity is our strength and everyone's getting on great. No, they're not. No, they're not. That's not the reality.
There's another bit of diversity that I want to come to. But just very quickly, I want to touch base. I've heard you talk about this before, and there's something very comical that you normally say when you're discussing your biological father. Now, I've always been intrigued. You know, my relationship with my father is beyond abysmal, and he's a very, very terrible man. And
was he ginger?
This is what no. Well, no, he's bad, but he ain't that bad.
I'm playing. Sorry to all you ginger people as well.
But yeah, so I always think to myself, I admire father-son relationships. I like it. And I always think to myself, your dad must be so proud of you, the level of courage that you have and the things that you've done and the things that you've achieved that nobody wants to report about. But I know the things that you've achieved, and so do you, which is the main thing. But also, if you're having lies printed about you, it's almost essential that they need to know both sides of the story. But so how does that work with your biological father? Because you don't like him, do you?
I don't know him. I don't know him. I know that he was abusive to my mother. I know that in our early years, we spent time in bad wives' hostels, hiding. So I know that from my mum's, from my upbringing.
Violent abuse.
Yeah. So I know that so that's not a good man anyway.
No.
But I don't know him. So when I say I don't know him, he used to come visit me on birthdays. I'd address him as Malcolm, not Dad. That was his name, Malcolm. I'd address him as Malcolm, not Dad. I think he's dead. I think by something my mum showed me, but my mum also said to me, there was a comment from someone online or something to do with him being dead. But my mum said, no, he was a fraudster, so that might just mean he owes someone money. And he wants to betray the fact he's dead. Yeah, so you don't know with him.
Was he a drinker, a gambler?
He was in care himself. So when it comes to his family, he didn't have family. He was in care. But I don't know, in all honesty, and I don't really care. Because from a very young age, my father has been Thomas Lennon, who's a Scottish man from the Gorbals in Glasgow, who has brought me up, who has seen that I've never wanted for anything, who has worked his bollocks off throughout life, who's been a great visionary for me, a great mentor for me, a great example to me, and a man that I love dearly as my dad. There's nothing else so that's my dad. So,
and I totally get that as well, because my stepdad to me is exactly who your stepdad is to you, but you call he's
dad.
He's dad.
Yeah, I don't have a stepdad. He's dad.
Yeah.
So that's how I've been. That's how he's brought me up, and that's how I've embraced it. So I don't think DNA makes you a dad. Plenty of people have a dad whose DNA biologically related to them, but he doesn't do anything for them. He's never been there for them. My dad has only ever worked his bollocks off to provide for us. So, and he's shown love and care the whole way through our life, still does now, still put them through so much worry. Think about the worry I put my mum and dad through, man.
Oh.
Insane.
Insane levels.
Insane amounts. So you can only think about when you have a kid. When I have my kid, I look at my kids and think, Jesus, if you went on to do what I've done, Jesus, how would I live with it? With the worry and fear.
It's insane to think how much energy and mental clarity, laughter and love your mum still has in her. She's still a joy, a bubbly joy to be around. Yeah. And she has had the absolute weight of the world on her shoulders because her boy is in volatile situations consistently. If it's not a demonstration, you've got people coming to blow you up with LEDs. You've got the press trying to make the public not like you.
I remember who did she want to find? She said, I feel like going to find that bastard when she watches these presenters just lie about me. Lie about me.
Presenter. Oh, she rattled. It's funny enough. She rattled a few off when we was at dinner, and she feels it.
Yeah, she's angry about it.
She feels it. Yeah.
She's lying bastards.
Yeah. She feels it. Yeah, she's.
And
lovely.
when people say I'm short, let's just get out. My mum's 4'11", so I actually made it.
Well, yeah.
At 5'6", and my son's taller than me now, and my son, because I always laugh at my son. He said, "I'm going to be 6 foot."
You're like the high tower of the family.
Yeah, he said, "I'm going to be 6 foot." I said, "How you going to be 6 foot? Your nan's 4'11". I'm 5'6". You ain't getting there, but I think he might now. So yeah, but my mum is 4'11", little mad Paddy, little mad Irish woman, full of the most amount of love you'd ever see. I mean, like she used to work in a behavioural unit at school, which she's probably quite good at because she's had us. But she brings kids home. She brought kids home to live with her, and she helps everyone. It's all she's ever done, and she still does now.
So it's safe to say that you are your mother's son.
I'm my mother's son, but
helping people, the empathy. The putting other people first, the selflessness, the feeling other people's pain.
Yeah, but my mum generally, I don't think has ever done the wrong in her life. I have.
I see.
I'd say my mum has never. I'd say if there was a perfect human being, it's my mum. If there was the most loving woman you'd ever meet, it's my mum. If there's a woman who wouldn't do anything wrong, it's mad, isn't it?
I put my mum in exactly the same bracket. I love and adore, cherish and worship the woman. But every son should love their mum like that. And I don't trust men that are disrespectful to women because it's like, shit, you've got a mum. Your mum is a woman and you're floating around disrespecting
Some of them might
women.
not. Some of them might not have had the lucky experiences we've had with mums.
True enough, but
Some of them might
I'm
be
sure the
mums.
vast percentage
Have yeah.
they have, and they've had their heart broke when they're younger and they're bitter, and they think that they've got a green light to just abuse and treat women like shit. I see too many of them now. I see far too many people disrespecting women out loud, referring to them as bitches, and it's like, whoa. What happened to being a gentleman? But that's another topic that we could go down. But we've covered your dad and your mum. Your mum is absolutely exquisite. I want to say that from personal experience. I want to move on to health, because it's essential at the moment that people get themselves healthy, because you never know what's around the corner. And COVID proved that. You never ever know when you're going to be forced to sit in your front room, get fat, get depressed, get angry, get anxious, get low, basically get completely and utterly wrecked to the point where you come back out in the real world and you don't know left from right, and you've got social anxiety, and you become a frazzle of your former self. So that taught me one thing: to get yourself in shape. You look after your body and the mind will take care of itself. And I see a lot of similarities with you and me. So I got to 18.2 stone during lockdown.
You were massive. Can we put the picture in?
If we want.
Put the picture in.
Yeah, we'll put the picture in.
Go on, put the picture in.
I describe.
Everyone's laughing at the picture.
I did. Well, we're going to put his picture in too. We'll have both of us up there. We'll both put our before and after pictures, and they can all have a good laugh at us. Yeah.
Do you know what that is? It's disrespectful. You disrespect yourself. Because I did as well.
Yeah,
totally.
And I want to talk about that, because you're one of the strongest men the country's ever seen. You've been through some horrific periods in your life that most people it would fold them for good. They'd never come back. You've mentioned that there's still PTSD in there. So you have overcome hurdles that only a giant could leap over. However, there has been times, like me, so this is not me digging anybody out, because I can concur, I can totally relate, where you was completely out of shape, fat,
chubby mess.
Fat mess, and that's caused by disrespecting yourself. And in fact, I was worse than you. So I feel like I'm okay to say this. And I'm saying it because your words have a very special kind of impact. And by you explaining why you was in that shit state, what you've done to level up and then get into the condition that you are now, and we're going to the gym every day, we're doing the sparring.
Over the last few weeks, bro.
But on a whole, you have totally transformed how you look. Your face looks, your chiseled jaw, you look fresh. Your body's good, you're strong, you train like a machine. So this really is for people that are watching that are struggling, they don't know which way to turn, their mental health is completely imbalanced, they're completely out of sync, out of check, and they've got no one that will sit down and say, listen, that ain't a good look. That isn't good for your heart. The arteries around your heart are fucked. You're a walking heart attack. You're a walking lump of depression. You can change this, but you've got to take one step at a time. But you've got to do it now. No one likes them difficult conversations. So just by you shedding some light on how you felt when you looked and felt unhealthy, what was the catalyst that made you think, fuck, I'm going to change? And now that you have changed, what keeps you consistent? Because you've done it. You've come back like Rocky Balboa. How'd you do that? So
I see alcohol as a form of self-harm for myself.
Yeah.
For other people, you might go out and have a few beers. You might have a good few beers and then go home and then end your beers. I don't. So if I touch alcohol, when I thought about the alcohol abuse and the sessions, I'm not even having a good time. So I'm not doing it to have a good time. I'm drinking as much as I can, as quick as I can. Mine is escapism. I'm trying to escape the reality of the situation I'm in. And for those 10 hours or 20 hours or 30 hours or 40 hours or 70 hours, whatever, when I'm on that sesh, I've escaped reality. I'm not thinking about the reality of my life. And I'm not thinking about the fears I have. Yeah?
Or the consequences.
Or the consequences of where I'm at, yeah? And the concerns and the worries. But then the reality is, no matter how much I fear that, so then I end up knowing that I'm fearing these things that I can't change anyway. So what's the point in the worry and the fear and the abuse? And as I have alcohol abuse, I have food abuse. Yeah. So I eat low. If I'm in that situation, I won't have one takeaway a day. I'll have 2 or 3. Yeah. I'll eat shit. I'll eat more shit and more shit and more shit. I guess I've got an addictive personality in many things, but my changing moment was I went to Tenerife and I booked into a martial arts camp called Steve Costa Fitness. And I was in a good place and a bad place whilst I was over there. Felt like it was when I constantly feel like I'm running away from reality or running away from life. But I went and booked in there, and it was a It's an amazing camp. Yeah, I've never thought about going on a boot camp holiday. And then I went on this thing. I booked in for 4 weeks at first. I think I spent 3 months there. Yeah, pretty much. And it's training. And it was training 3 hours a day. It started off 1 hour a day, 2 hours a day, 3 hours a day. I worked my way up. They give you your food. And then I was going for walks and I started hiking. And then I realised how much I enjoyed it. And I always would have looked at someone who went for a walk as a wanker. Going for a walk, you wanker. Going for a walk with your family, you weirdo. Like, or things like that. And then I realised how much I enjoyed it and how better I felt. And then I realised, and if I could live my life again now, if I could, I would maintain fitness. Because I realised that if I'm physically fit, I feel like I can take on the world. Yeah. Once I've had a drink or ate shit or got into a bit of a bad position physically, then I feel like I'm overwhelmed by the world. Whereas I'm ready to fight anything, I feel, when I'm at that peak fitness or maintaining fitness. And as I said, I've gone up, I've got super fit, and then I've nosedived, and then I've gone up again, I've got super fit. But the one thing I know, if I go more than 2 or 3 days without getting up first thing in the morning and beasting a workout, then my life spirals. And I know that about myself. So I know that I just need to get back in that gym. And it's amazing what a workout can do. And I always say to people, no matter how fit or fat or unfit you are, start walking, man. Just start walking, because you will not realise the difference it will make. And one thing at a time, because I'm a fussy eater. So I struggle. I might go mad like I've been doing, like my family are here now, yeah? So we're going out and we're enjoying some nice meals and I'm struggling a bit with the food. But I'm maintaining the hard workout, and I always think I can out-train a bad diet. and I try my hardest. I just think, I'm going to eat what I want. I'll go gym twice tomorrow. Yeah, I'll go for a walk. I'll climb that mountain as well. Yeah, or I'll run 5K. I'll do 10K. And I'm trying to compete against it. But the most empowering feeling, the best feeling, and the answer, I've been prescribed so many drugs by doctors. When I've gone and had to sit and had psychiatrist reports done for court, or I've had deep counselling sessions, and they all say, take this. I've never took one.
What have they, like ADHD stuff?
Just fucking everything. They get all these antidepressants. It's like, I don't want to be on a sleeping tablet. I don't want to be on this. I don't want to be on that. I don't want to be on that. Yeah? And I believe the answers are all there naturally anyway. And I believe that if you're feeling fit, if you're physically fit, walking, running, when you get to that peak level of fitness, which I've got myself up to a few times over the last few years, you feel great. And and at the time when you're not doing that, you don't feel great. And the answer to every single problem, I know the answer, and it's health and fitness. It's what you eat, it's getting sunlight, it's getting out in the nature, it's walking, it's running, it's swimming.
Putting your bare feet on the sand, on the soil, on the ground.
It's 1 hour a day, and most people say, and I'm blessed that I've got my son into that. My son has got so fit in comparison to where he was at, especially as well. He wasn't in a great place, which was from me. He was a shadow of me. So if I was eating shit, he was eating shit. I wasn't training. Once I started, in fact, when I left the country and I went to live abroad, he ran every day, and he done it off his own back. And then he changed physically the way he felt, and then he's like he's glowing. It's like he's got a glow in him that he didn't have.
It's so good to hear the man who you are talk the way you're talking now, because I absolutely know that it needs to be echoed by the multitude, but also the fact that it's you saying it to people.
And I was a mess, man. You've seen the pictures. Yeah. I was a big fat mess, and not just a big fat mess, but a lazy mess, and always feeling and feeling sorry for myself at times. And then the minute again, it just started off. I just started off 1 session a day when I went to Tenerife, and then I developed into 2, and in the end, I was doing 3. And I've got that, yeah.
And I've seen how you perform and how you're very reactive and you're proactive. But I've seen you when you're not exercising, and I've seen you when you're exercising. It's two different people. It's very, very impressive. When you're on point, you're on point.
And it's all scientific. It's all the endorphins you're giving off. It's your body's giving off everything.
Completely.
It's making you feel better.
Completely.
You don't need drugs. You don't need anything else.
But to take the first step is the same as anything. It's starting a business, starting a job, approaching somebody that you're attracted to. The first step is the hardest. But once you've done it, the second, third step, they just fall into place. You go on autopilot. So is it safe to say, just as a summary, for anyone out there that's struggling, that no matter what's going on in your life, you have to face it. And it's pure and simple, because if you're using substances or food, we're both guilty of that. If you're using something to clock out, you can you can bet your bottom dollar you are clocking in to something else, which is far more detrimental to your health. You clock out eating food, you're clocking into getting fat. You clock out by using drink and drugs, you're clocking into anxiety and depression. You've got to choose where you want to be. Clocking out, all it is clocking in to something different that's worse. So health is wealth.
I don't mind. You've seen how I do mine with food. I don't do mine.
We have 2 dinners.
Yeah, well, that's it. But I just picked the help. So when I went to Tenerife, I'd never eaten fish either. And I started just eating fish. I started just looking at the menu and thinking, I'll just have the healthy thing, the chicken, the jacket potato, the fish, the vegetables, and the steak and the vegetables. And I enjoyed it anyway. And my diet's always been terrible. Always been terrible. But it's a lot better now. And I enjoy, as I said, I really enjoy working out. I really enjoy the high intensity. I really enjoy being pushed. I really enjoy maximising myself. But I've still put on, I was down to 75 kilos, man. I'm up to 81 again. I just do it like that, don't I? I drive past McDonald's and I put on weight.
You'll get that back, but
I'm back on the fit. I'm training every day.
It's fair to say, no matter how hard it is, the juice is worth the squeeze.
100%, man. And the feeling you get from it and the way you feel, I know, as I said, my mood and everything is relative to whether I'm training.
And just on
they said feed him or go to the gym. That's what Jenny is saying. Just fucking go to the gym or eat.
Training is the most important because it's brain food. And
routine. No, I'm a creature of habit. I need routine. Jail was good for me in the sense of routine. You come out of jail disciplined in a routine. I need routine. So at home when I'm back in the UK, no matter what, I leave my house at 5:15 in the morning, wherever I am, and I get to the gym. And I'm at the gym by 5:45. No matter, and I've done that, even if I do that 7 days in a row and I'm tired and I can't train, I still go to the gym.
Routine rules.
I need it.
Yeah, routine rules. On just spinning off from the health side of things, and yeah, I love the fact that you've said that out loud because that is going to help so many people. It's unbelievable. You hear a leader talk the way you've just talked, exposing vulnerability and what you've done to change it, to build yourself up to a bigger, better version of you is impressive. And people are going to grab that and they're going to, they really will. And thank you for doing that. But talking about the health, I want you to tell me the story. You went on a health retreat and there was a lot of people there. A lot of mixed people. It was a multicultural gathering and it went on for quite some time. And I'll tell you, you was there as Stephen Yaxley-Lennon. Tell me how that unfolded.
I'll tell you a couple, yeah.
Do you know the one I'm referring to?
I know the one you're referring to, second one, but I'll tell you the first one.
Yeah.
Jason Vale Juice Camp.
Yeah.
Jason Vale is a famous celebrity, does juice retreats, yeah? So I went to his juice retreat, right? And obviously the alarm bells are gone. Fuck, Tommy Robinson's here. Yeah, it's a little retreat in Portugal. And do you know what? In life, I don't like the bloke now. Yeah, I think he's a total hypocrite and a coward. Yeah, but his juice retreat is magnificent. If you want to reset, you want to reset in your life. Everyone needs a reset. You're spiraling a little bit. Go to a reset. It's a detox juice retreat. You just drink juice. They give you all the right things. You do walking. You do exercise. You do a bit of this. So I went there, and I went there with my friend Jamal, Pakistani Muslim. Yeah.
How about that?
Pakistani Muslim. And me and him are going for a walk and there's all these other people. And this woman said to Jamal, fucking that bloke you're with doesn't half look like Tommy Robinson. And he's gone, yeah, it is Tommy Robinson. And she's looked at him like, what the fuck are you doing with him? And he's like, what do you mean what am I doing?
Surely shouldn't be saying, what the fuck's he doing with me?
Yeah. What do you mean what am I doing with him? He's my mate, yeah? So anyway, we spent this week there. And Jason and I got on fabulous with the entire group, yeah? But some of them knew who I was in this one. A couple of them worked out who I was. And I got on fabulous. I got on really well. In fact, it was mainly middle-aged women, yeah? And all of them kept in contact with me. It's quite funny because Jamal has a problem, if you're watching this, with women, yeah? Right. And
in what sense?
That he's just shit and he's useless, bruv.
Oh, I see.
And the women were giving him coaching, yeah? Because they all really liked him. Jamal's a lovely lad.
Oh, when you say a problem, not like that, he's not anti-women.
No, he's got a problem. Shit with women.
He's got a problem copping hold of them.
Yeah, copping hold of them.
Right.
Man. And they're all trading him. So I'm sitting there and I'm laughing and chuckling myself. We've got all these women who are about 50 and 60 and they're coaching. And I've done a little video and stuck it in the group chat because everyone loved it because he's fucking useless. And he from that he come back and he's doing this dating thing online, and from that he ended up getting a long-term missus that he hasn't had from these women in Juicy all answering the questions. They all go, so each day that he's messaging this girl, the women are messaging him. It wasn't even him.
He's catfishing someone.
It wasn't even him. Yeah. But I got to know all the women. So when I come back, I booked the camp again. and they refunded my money. And I rang him up. I kept recording. I've never played this, yeah? I kept recording and goes, what's going on, Jason? And he refused to answer to me. And then I just said to him, Sam, I'm going public with this, yeah? In fact, I said, what I'm going to do is, at the time, because I was angry, I said, I'm shutting down your juices. I've looked where your juices come from. It's somewhere near Northampton or Nottingham. I said, I'm blocking your warehouses, bruv, yeah? Because you're discriminating against me, yeah? And then he said, well, the problem I've got, I have to think of my business. And Jason Vale's been one of those most outspoken against COVID vaccines, and he's acted like he's all here on free speech and all here on government tyranny, whereas he refused my ability to go back there, even though on the phone I said, but Jason, you know the portrayal of me is not who I am. You spent a week with me, bruv, yeah? You know that's not who I am. You met my mate who's a Pakistani Muslim who we shared a room together, yeah? He goes, I know that's not who you are, Tommy, and everyone who met you knows that's not who you are, but the media perception of you will be damaging for my business. I said, but you know that's not me. And here you are blocking me. I said, and you talk, I sat and listened to your speeches about how important a reset is in someone's life. And it's important, it's important in my life. Yeah. I needed that reset. I needed that juice camp. I needed that retreat. Somewhere I go for a week to have a break. Yeah. I needed it. And here you are refusing it based on a media portrayal that you accept is not right. Just like with COVID, you've come out and spoke about that. But here you are being detrimental towards me through something you know that I'm not the guy that they're portraying. So anyway, that was the first one with Jason Vale, yeah? And then he banned me. I'm not, and he said, "I'm sorry, Tommy, I can't because if you come here and a celebrity comes here and you're here at the same time, it's going to be very damaging." You coward. Anyway, man,
it'll probably be refreshing for them.
Yeah, forget your principles then, bruv. You know what I mean? Don't stand on your principles. But anyway, so from that, then I went on another. I find myself going home, working hard, and I was booking on these fitness retreats and that. I got all addictive to
that.
Yeah, got addicted to that.
Choose your addiction though.
Yeah,
you choose the right addiction, happy days.
It's a good addiction. I've gone to this one, and I'm in Portugal at this camp. All English people there as well. Got on great with all of them. There's an Asian lady, she's from Manchester, really nice girl. She's giving me, I'm talking about my kids, and she's, they're all really nice, yeah? I got on really well. I could tell many of them would have been liberals and left-wing, but very well we got on. And they liked me, yeah? And we're on the last day and we've gone for a dinner. And we're sat there and I'm showing her a video on my phone. And it's come up Tommy Robinson News for the Telegram group. And she's like, Stephen. Like she see the ghost. Tommy Robinson News. I went, oh, yeah, that's just popped up from a group. She said, do you know who that is? I went, yeah. So she went, he's like the enemy, Stephen. I went, he's actually all right. Yeah? He's actually all right. She goes, now, Stephen, I like you. We're not even going to go there because I've grown to like you. So we're not even go there with Tommy Robinson. I said, let's just leave Tommy Robinson totally out of this. Yeah. She still had no idea where we've left. I'm sitting there thinking, at some point, she's going to watch the news, see a news article, and she's going to think, oh my God, Stephen's Tommy Robinson.
I wonder if she'll connect the dots and the penny will drop that she's been indoctrinated by the media and the system, and actually, from her very own eyes, she has seen the man.
I know from the week.
Not the headline.
Yeah, I know from the week I spent with those people, they liked me. I know I got on with all of them. They met who I was, which is again for me is which is why I loved Steve Costa Fitness in Tenerife, because all the people there were European, not British. So I could go there and no one knew who I was. So then people judge me as who I am.
Which has been my whole point pretty much from the start of this podcast. I want to separate the man the media portray who he is to the actual man that you are.
I'm constantly battling the stereotype.
You're battling a lie.
Yeah.
You're fighting against the lie, and now you haven't got a platform to fight against the lie. So that lie is going to manifest and become bigger, which is important why people that are interested in the truth go and follow you on Getter, Telegram, Rumble, and all the other bits and pieces.
And the lie is, and I'm not perfect, and I never claim to be perfect, but I'm not a racist, not an extremist. I'm an arsehole at times and have been like everyone else.
And everyone's entitled to be all those things, but it's extremely unfair. I would hate to be, and I don't really give too much of a fuck what people think about me, but I would not like to be deemed a racist.
Oh, mate, it's a libby.
It's a libby. It's wrong.
Do you know I had so when Black Lives Matter hit, I've had a bit of a fallout with one of my mates, and
it ruins your chances of building bridges and bonds with decent people that are of colour.
My mate said, you don't see, because he's a black lad, he said, you don't see the way people look at me when I get on the train, Yax. You don't see the way people look at me when I get on the train in London, because he's a big black lad. I said, you don't see the way people look at me when I get on the fucking train, bro. I said, when I walk in a restaurant, you've got to see the way people look at me. Everywhere I go, you've got to see the way people look at me. Do you know what I mean?
But on that note, let's talk about...
They kiss me and they hug me and they tell me I'm great.
No, there's always going to be a few haters. There's always going to be a few planks of wood that just believe what they want to believe. And there's no one more blind than those that refuse to see. But let's be honest, the reception you get when you're out and about, wherever it is you may go...
It's fabulous. You've seen it.
I've seen it, yeah.
It's fabulous.
I want you to describe it in your own words, the actual reception that you receive from people in the public when you're...
Can I describe it in your words?
If you can.
Like Elvis walking through Vegas. That's what you said, wasn't it? No, and that's all my children ever see, really, yeah? So my children travel everywhere with me. So my children are here with me.
I thought it was going to be something really rude. That's what I said. If you can.
No, so my children...
It's not going to censor us.
My children travel everywhere with me. So my children see the great reception I get from all different colours, all different races, all different religions, yeah? So they see how people perceive their dad. Yeah? The vast majority of people perceive their dad. Obviously, there's people who are misinformed. There's people who hate me for certain reasons, different reasons. But the majority of people, I get a great reception everywhere I go. So I know that majority of people have seen through the bullshit, seen through the lies. I know I reach past them with my journalism. I know they've seen it. But that number is, as the generations go on, the number will dwindle because of censorship. So hopefully as a solution to that, hopefully people start shifting over to Rumble.
Hopefully Elon Musk will actually fulfill his side of the bargain and commit to his truth that Twitter will now be a free speech platform and you eventually get reinstated because that's the go-to.
That's the go-to, and I've got legal things going on now where we're looking at the opportunity of taking Elon Musk to court based on what he said and what he's done.
That'll be interesting.
It will be interesting. Very interesting.
That will be interesting. And what do you think about, because I know that you've had your PayPal, your bank accounts, you've been completely dehumanized, you've been completely, just shut down. Boom, there you go. No bank, no source of even generating an income or receiving an income. You could go and do a week's work. How am I going to get paid? I've got a bank account. So they've branded you, when I say they, the government, the system, the media, they've branded you, tarnished you with lies, branded you a terrorist, a bigot, all the other nonsense. So they can sort of justify, we had to shut his account because, whatever they want to say, it's all nonsense. What do you think about Nigel Farage getting his bank account? What's your holistic view on that? Nigel Farage. I mean, he's just a normal sort of, maybe slightly right. Is he not?
He's not actually. No, actually, if you go through Nigel Farage's history of university, college days, you'll find that he's said far worse things than I've ever said. Yeah. So, but he's
deemed as sort of just.
He's deemed as mainstream. Yeah. But where I get frustrated is Nigel Farage has done some unbelievable and amazing work, yeah, and fighting for British rights and fighting for Brexit and fighting for these things. But at the same time as doing that, he threw so many people under the bus. He called us tattooed thugs. He judged you because you've got a tattoo that you're automatically stupid in the thug.
I remember when he said that, and I just thought, mate,
are you that detached? But he is that detached.
Yeah, why?
He's a city boy. He is the elite, yeah. And what he's shocked is that he thought he was part of the elite.
I remember he said that, and I thought, wow,
he thought he's part of the elite.
You've just alienated all the working class
because he's not working class. He's never been to. Do you think he's ever been into a working class estate in his life past 7 p.m? Other than for a photo
for a photo opportunity.
Other than for a photo shoot. So he puts a pint in front of him.
I'm not even convinced he drinks. He just says it for the picture.
He puts a pint in front of him, so he convinces all of us. He thinks we're stupid. And I got angered by him many times by the way he treated us. And when you're talking about my bank accounts, so my bank accounts were closed down. If you look at what Katie Hopkins has been through, yeah, Katie Hopkins had her life totally destroyed. Yeah, they've come after her with banks, with fraudulent cases, with bankruptcy cases. They've done things that they shouldn't be legally allowed to do. She's had personal attacks. She's a female, a very strong woman, a great example to women. You want for these feminism and stand up for women's rights, look to that woman.
I think she's become better and better and better the longer she's got into this and the more she's dropped her guard and the facade, because I think I think she would have said things that were controversial, to say things that were controversial
for the sake of it. For the sake of it, to blow herself up. Well done. You got yourself there. Now we see the real Katie Hopkins, who I think is an amazing woman and a brave woman, and she's had things that have happened to her. Where was Nigel Farage speaking for her? All right, so you didn't like me because I was working class and had a tattoo. What about her? How come you didn't speak up for her when she stood up? How come when she got sidelined and cancelled, we didn't stand up for her? How about Mark Stein when he got booted off of GB News? Why didn't you speak up for him when he went out against Big Pharma? Why didn't you talk up for him? So I just look and think, well, when it's come and bit you on the arse, and now you want to speak up. Now it's affected your life.
But why?
And now he says he's talking up for all the thousands of others. No, you're not. You're not talking for the thousands of others.
Talking for you.
You're talking for your fucking self because you didn't give a shit about the thousands of others. Because in fact, you included kicking the thousands of others as racist or extremist or far right or working class or whatever you didn't like them when it weren't affecting your bank balance and your life. You didn't give a shit. Now it's affected your life, bruv. Now it's come for you, has it? Yeah. What's next? They're going to do what they've done to us. Now you're talking out against it. I'm glad he's using his platform. Look, I'm not going to totally slam him because he still has a platform and he's using it.
I have a slight fondness for him, but I'm also equally as disappointed for the same reason.
I'm just disappointed because he's not the guy he's portrayed to be. He has stood in the way and made sure that I'm not allowed onto GB News. He's made sure he tried to do the same with Getter when I had that platform. You don't want to be known as a Tommy Robinson social media. These are his words. You don't want to be known as you need to get rid of Tommy Robinson. So trying to get me sidelined from social media that when I finally get a voice. So all these things with Nigel Farage, always been running away from never wanting to be seen with us because we're extreme. Well, mate, you're branded as extreme now yourself.
I tell you what would be nice would be you, Tommy Robinson, and Nigel Farage to sit down and whatever the differences are, thrash them out, have an honest, open conversation.
He wouldn't do it. He wouldn't do it. He would not do it. Some free speech absolute. So,
it would be nice.
It would be great.
The public would love to see that.
I'd welcome it any time because I think he's done amazing work.
Call him out.
Nigel, I think you've been a total coward in the past. Hopefully now you're about to grow a pair of bollocks and stand up for everyone in this country, every single person in this country, not just people whose views you 100% agree with, because that's not what it's about. Yeah, it's about defending freedom of speech. And my speech was taken a long time ago. When I was deplatformed, you didn't speak up for me. When I went put in jail unlawfully, you actually supported them. And their reasoning for doing it, I believe, at the time when I was in jail, it didn't come out calling for me to be released.
Oh no, absolutely
he supported
not.
it. And that's not just him. Piers Morgan has a show called Uncensored. Really, you censored me, you mug. It's like all of them. I just think, oh yeah, really. Piers Morgan only affected you when you got booted off because you said about Prince Harry and Meghan.
Piers Morgan should have you on if he's going to be so audacious to have his own show called Uncensored. Yeah. Then,
mate, half of GB News shows are called about not being censored. They're all censored. They're not even allowed to mention my name. We don't have a free press. We do not have free press, and GB News is not the channel you think it is.
I know this because I have inside information from you. But so, what do you think the reason is that they cancelled his bank accounts? What's the reason?
What's the reason they cancelled his bank accounts?
What do you think it is? Because I think it's bizarre.
Well, Nigel Farage begins talking about things when they're acceptable to talk about. Yeah. So immigration, COVID vaccine, he wasn't there at the start, was he? He wasn't talking about all these problems at the start. Once it's been pushed and people lost their jobs and people lost their careers, and then it becomes mainstream to talk about, Nigel Farage jumps on the bandwagon. Yeah. Same with terrorism. Only jumped on the bandwagon when you can talk about it. Yeah. Same with Islam. Same with all these things. So I think that he started talking about a few touchy subjects for them, and that means making his life difficult, which is what they've done. And it is difficult when you don't have a bank account. Very difficult. Trust me. When you can't operate a business, when you can't rent a house, you can't do anything.
How can you actually live? Well, you can't.
No, you can't.
How can you live legitimately?
You can't.
It's almost like they're pushing you, steering you to doing something untoward.
And then they want to do you for it.
Then they'll get you.
I know. It's mad.
Fucking dark.
Yeah, mad, mate. Mad.
Yeah, dark.
But yeah, so it's good that he's talking about it, but let's look at the reason why he's talking about it. He's not talking about it for the great good of the country or people. He's talking about it for himself because it affected him.
Unfortunately, mate, the world is full of those people. And I just want two more things that we're going to go over.
Yep.
And then we can go to the spa. And
the cold plunge pool.
And have some food. Right. Prison, Tom. Prison, yeah. Not nice memories, I'm sure. You'd much rather be out with your family, enjoying life. However, it has happened. It's part of your tapestry. It's part of your history. And I want to know, how many prison terms have you served?
4, 5.
5 prison terms.
Different times, yeah.
5 separate convictions. And how many prisons would you say that you was?
I've been in 10 prisons.
10 prisons, 5
10 different prisons.
Convictions.
10 different prisons. I don't know about my convictions because I've got lots of other little convictions which I wondered what they were doing. But
ones that resulted in jail time.
5.
Okay, so 5 jail terms. And
isn't it mad? Do you know what's mad is, so before the English Defence League, up to 2009, I had a few little mad years there where I'd been treading my treading water.
I tell you what, include every single. Be as honest as you want, what you don't want.
Okay,
but be every little misdemeanor, including prison terms.
So I'd say
everyone
up until. So I had one prison sentence when I was 19, 20, when I come out of my apprenticeship, which I went to jail for, got 12 months or so, first offence. Then I had mad years. Come out of jail, lost my career, and I was pushing the line a lot, yeah? So up to like getting involved in things I shouldn't be involved in, yeah? Along the lines. And then I sorted my life out. And then I started my businesses and I got to the point and then I thought, right, I'm on this total straight now, yeah? And then I started the English Defence League. And then end up getting banged up all the time. I thought, I ain't doing nothing wrong. But now I'm getting locked up. I ain't even doing anything wrong. So 10 different prisons. I've been to Bedford, Onley, Hull, Wayland, Wandsworth, Winchester, Woodhill, Belmarsh, other jails. Don't know.
What's your? Give me one or two extremely unpleasant experiences in jail. What was your worst experience in any one of those sentences? Any one of those terms?
Worst experience?
Really take yourself back and think of the worst time you can imagine. A couple of incidents.
Okay, well, the worst time was I was in HMP Winchester. My mother, I was concerned going in. My mum had cancer in a bad way, stage 4. I'd been battered in Woodhill, lost my teeth, transferred miles away down to Winchester. My mum had a 12-hour operation, and it was an operation where they weren't sure if she'd make it or not. They thought if they were successful, she may be paralysed. And I sat in that cell that day, a broken man. I cried. I was emotional. I thought about all the unfair stuff I'd put my mum through. I relived my whole fucking time.
What was you convicted for on that occasion? Do you remember?
Mortgage fraud. Mortgage fraud, which was, so basically, between me and my wife, we had 7 mortgages. Yeah? We had 7 mortgages. But what they'd done is they nicked, when they come in and done their investigation, they went back 5 years on every family member. My mum's banks, my dad's banks, my relatives, my cousins. They nicked everyone that they could on any little bullshit charges, yeah? Then when they come in for me, so basically my brother-in-law was an apprentice for my company. And when he bought a house 5 years prior, he bought a house, it was £80,000. I lent him £20,000 as a deposit. Self-certification mortgage form. So when he filled out his mortgage form, instead of earning 12 grand as an apprentice, he said he earned 20. Yeah. He then got a mortgage. He buys the house for 80,000, puts 20 grand deposit down. He then does the house up and sells it 9 months, 12 months later for 125,000. The mortgage company have paid back their money. 4 years later, they come in and nick him. Yeah, because when they'd gone through all the forms, this is what they done every bit of paperwork every one of my family have ever done. And then when they said that where he said he earned more, even though the mortgage company didn't lose a penny and they've been paid back, that is fraud. So what they then say is that the 125 grand when they sell his house is the proceeds of crime because you fraudulently obtained this mortgage by lying. Doesn't matter that no one lost a penny. Doesn't matter that you've done the house up and built it. In fact, self-cert mortgages were encouraged by the banks. The reason they done it was so people would get mortgages. Yeah, that's why the housing market collapsed. So 4 years later, they come and nicked us all. Yeah, now they nicked me for his mortgage. They nicked me. We had 7 mortgages, me and my wife. Yeah, all straight, all legit, nothing on them. But what they done is they used a mortgage advisor. So then what they done is they nicked my wife on tax. They nicked me on tax. They said I owed £137,000 tax. I got not guilty on the tax. I'm laughing, thinking you closed my business, you lot are fucked, yeah? You've held me on this financial restraint for 4 years, right? You've closed my business, you ain't even got a case, right? So what if he said he earned more on his form? I didn't fill his form out for him. It's his signature, not mine. You've got nothing on me, yeah? So then they started charges straight away, started court proceedings against my wife, ex-wife now, yeah? Now, no one knows what my ex-wife looks like, no one. There's no image of her online, yeah, which is pretty hard considering I led the English Defence League. We lived 2 separate lives, didn't go places together, lived a separate life. Mate, I didn't go to school gates. We lived this life a certain way, yeah, to make sure that she was protected. Then they're going to put her in court. If they put her in court, she's going to be photographed in court. Left-wing organisations are going to have her. They're all going to photograph her. Her life's going to change. So before the court case, I said to my family the whole time, they had other family members on stupid little charges. They had my cousins, my friends, My friend had to keep flying back from Thailand because he lives in Thailand. And I said, bruv, just listen to me, man. They're not after you, yeah? This is all to put pressure on me. I had all my family crying their eyes out. Please, Stephen, I said, just bear with it, yeah? They don't want any of you. They want me, yeah? I know what's coming. A deal's coming, right? So we get to court and I get a not guilty. And then they offer me a deal, and the deal was to plead guilty. So my other cousin, Angie, she's on a mortgage fraud because she lied about her mortgage as well. So she's on a mortgage fraud. My other cousin's on a mortgage fraud, but they're all no bank's lost a penny. They're not frauds where anyone's lost money or defrauded. They just lied on how much they earned to get a mortgage, and they're on the property ladder. Yeah. That's it, right? So they've all got them, and then they basically want me to plead guilty to all of theirs. Now, it would have, and the way the fraud works is in the value of how much fraud. So because of how much the mortgage was, 60 grand, her mortgage, his mortgage, what they basically want me to plead guilty to was £500,000 mortgage fraud, yeah? And they'd let all of them off. If I plead guilty, they get off, yeah? And then I said to the lawyer, what do I get for that? 5 years. So I went outside around with Jenna. I said, right, your tax case goes, Angie's case goes, Stevie's case goes, Neil's case goes, but I plead guilty. She said, how long did you get? I said, 5 years. She said, don't you fucking dare. Do not fucking dare. For 5 years, let me leave us for the 5 years. Because they had nothing on me. Nothing. So
they had nothing on you because you was innocent?
They had nothing on me because there's no case. There's no mine and Jenna's mortgages are all legit. They're all fine. So what if my cousin's lied in a mortgage form? It's not what's it got to do with me. Yeah, but that's what they were portraying. So them
just trying to find something to stick to
on all my family. They went back. They didn't charge my mum or dad with anything. But I looked at their warrants. They got court warrants to get my mum and dad's accounts for 5 years. They went back from they were looking for something to pull my mum in on. Yeah, wow. They done every member of my family. And what they combined together. So they pulled us in, and then they offered me this 5 years. So I went back in and said, no, I'm not taking a deal, right? Because I'm walking. I'm getting a not guilty on this shit. Yeah. So then they swore the jury in. Right, so then we swore the jury in for the trial. I had 3 Muslims on my jury, which is mad because St Albans got no Muslims in it. But I had 3 Muslims on my jury and a PCSO because they have to go through. They had to say they're a PCSO, which they said was that's okay. You can be a PCSO and sit on the jury. How? Yeah, how can you without being favourable against me? But anyway, they swore them in, and then just before the trial started, they pulled me back out again. They didn't want the trial. They couldn't have the trial. They could not have the trial because I'd get a not guilty, and it's bad for them. Yeah, it's because of what they've done. They've closed my businesses. They've ruined my life. So then they pulled me back out and said, okay, plead guilty to this, which was the brother-in-law's mortgage that I took the deal on, and we'll drop the rest. So I said, give me it right in. I want a written agreement. And then I said to my solicitor, how long's the max I get? He said 2 years. That means serve 9 months. So the maximum I'm going for is 9 months. No one sees who my wife is. Her court case stops. Relatives' court cases stop because they're all in this position because of me. Yeah. So I'll go jail, come out in 9 months. Right. So I took the deal. I pleaded guilty. So I said, all right. But I pleaded guilty under the agreement that it doesn't trigger proceeds of crime because I didn't want any of them saying to me, I owe them hundreds of thousands of pounds for saying I ain't done. So at this moment, it does not trigger proceeds of crime. So I've done this legal agreement. Went to jail, come out of jail. And that's when they tried to recruit me in jail. Come out of jail, and then they triggered the proceeds of crime. And I said, but
just remind me, when you say they tried to recruit you in jail, who is that?
Metropolitan Intelligence Bureau, MIB, secretive organisation based in Scotland Yard, who wanted me to work for them and be their mole and they wanted to control the reaction after terrorist attacks.
Go in undercover for them.
Yeah, they would then be in control of the reaction. So when there's a terrorist attack and there's a reaction, it's their reaction, whatever they want, planned, however demonstrations, whatever they want. So that was I didn't really go into detail because I said, fuck off. I'm no one's bitch. I'm not working for anyone.
And the mortgage fraud conviction that you received, am I right in saying that if anybody wanted to compound on that and get further information, they are to read your first book, which is The Enemy of the State?
Read my first book, Enemy of the State. But you can read it all. You can read the court documents. I've got 18 months. It's unheard of. But the sickening thing about it is, to send me to jail, they had to send the mortgage advisor to jail. The mortgage advisor, a lady called Debbie, who was a single mother. Yeah. So they sent her to jail. They had to. Because if they wanted to imprison me, they got to imprison her. Because they done her for the mortgage, for the forms as well. So I was there looking at her. I'm so sorry, babe. Like, I'd have took the jail. I asked them for the deal. I asked them when they were for the plea deal that I don't want her getting done. I'll plead, leave her. Yeah, but they couldn't because if they want to send me to jail, they had to send her to jail. So they sent her to jail. She got 18 months, single parent.
Shocking, and then going back, and that is shocking. And again,
and then that's what I went to jail for. And then that's when I was in Winchester. I'm sat in a prison cell. I'm reliving everything my mum's had to go through. I'm thinking, I don't know if she's coming or she's going. She's going to survive this night. The longest day of my life.
And I can totally understand why that would be the most horrific time.
And then the priest come.
Give me one more example of in prison, an extremely unpleasant experience. Maybe one of, because I know that you've been under attack in there. Just describe a violent incident that took place, how you felt, where it could have gone.
Oh, there's loads, man. There's loads. So
just pluck one out.
I'll say the most. So I went into Bedford prison. I landed in Bedford prison. I looked at the screw on the reception governor. I said, "You got a brother called Mark?" And he said, "Yeah." I said, "I know your brother." He said, "Yeah, I know you do." I said, "All right." And then I started talking to him. I said, and then we were assessing where the most Muslims were. Yeah, basically, I said, I was naming mates. Is Jason Weston here? Is Johnny Holmes here? I was naming people, asking which lads I've grown up with who are tough lads, which wings they're on. So we established lads I knew were on B wing, and then there were some Somalis in there for doing 30 years. They'd done a big shooting they killed each other in Fishermead in Milton Keynes, big massive case. There was all riots at the court in Luton, and we found out that because if someone's doing 2 years, then they might punch you. If they're doing 30 years, they're going to do me. I'm dead. I'm a big target. So we found out that they were all on A wing. The majority of the Muslims are on A wing. So this Mark's brother goes upstairs, comes back downstairs, and he goes to see the governor. He comes back down and he said, "I'm sorry, Stephen, you're going on A wing." I went, "What?" I said, "I have to go on induction wing anyway. I've just come to the jail. It's induction wing first." Yeah. He goes, "You're going on A wing unless you want to go on the numbers." I said, "I ain't got no fucking numbers, bruv." So the numbers is protection with the nonces. I said, "I ain't going on no numbers. I've done nothing to be ashamed of. I'm not going on that. I'm no paedophile." Yeah. He goes, "Well, go on the numbers or go on A wing." I said, "Give me a pen and paper." So he gave me a pen and paper. So I wrote down, I'm sitting down, I'm writing all the gangs in there. So you've got two rival gangs. Say you've got this gang versus this gang in London. They're not allowed to be on the same wing. Yeah. When you go into prison, they know what gang you're in and they have to separate the gangs. Yeah. Well, I'm Tommy Robinson, and these are all fucking Muslim radicals or Muslim gangs. So putting me in with them, you're not allowed to, yeah? So I wrote 6 pages of the gangs, named them all, named who's in there, saying, like, you have a duty of care for my safety. He just come back down and said, "You're going on A-wing," yeah? I said, "All right, I'll go on A-wing." I think they thought I wouldn't. So I said, "All right, I'll go on A-wing." And as I'm walking across with these 2 screws, I said, "You ready, lads?" And they goes, "What?" I goes, "Watch what I fucking do when we get in here," yeah? And we we open up the doors and it's 10 to 12 just before lunch. And I mean, like, so you know what prison looks like. Mm-hmm. They're all up on the landings. And as I'm walking in, they're all clocking, "Fucking, it's Tommy Robinson." And they're all howling. Like, "Whoa!" They're all shouting to each other, yeah?
What, like your food or like you're a hero?
No, like I'm food buff.
Right.
Yeah? So I'm walking in thinking, and I'll be honest, I'm shitting myself. I'm thinking, fuck, man, I'm fucked here. Yeah? I'm being fed to them. So they open up my cell door, they put me in my cell, it's 10 to 12, lunch is at 12. So I say, "What time's lunch?" He says 12. So I think that door opens, I'm out that door. Yeah, no one's getting me in this cell. So if you get caught lacking in the cell, I'm dead.
So you could sense an attack was imminent.
Yeah, so I went to the window. Yeah, I went straight to the window. I said, "Oh, you paedophile fuckers," yeah? And I'm screaming out the window, yeah? And then I hear them all saying, "Who the fuck is this?" And some black geezer goes, "Who the fuck's this geezer?" I said, your prophet's a paedophile, bruv. If your prophet was here, you're all here screaming about nonce wing, D-wing, nonce wing. I said, if your prophet was here, he'd be on the fucking nonce wing. Your prophet was a nonce. What are you all screaming about? And they were like, "You're dead." And I said, "Mate, I've been leading the EDL for 5 years. I've had 2 black eyes, you shit houses." Yeah, and I'm screaming out, and I'm going mad.
Up until that moment.
Yeah, but I'm going mad, purposely going mad. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, when this door opens, it's on. Yeah. So they're all like, "Yeah, you little pussy."
And you done that not to provoke,
no,
but because you knew it was coming.
Survive. I've got to survive. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm screaming out, and they're
clever.
They were like, "You're on protection." I said, "I'm on A-wing, you mugs. I'm on your wing. I'm on your wing." I'm shouting what cell I'm in. I said, "I'm on the fucking wing." And I'm building it up thinking this is going to go, yeah. So they open the door, it's 10 to 12. I'm straight out the door, straight down in canteen. I've come in, I said, "Who's fucking Muslim?" Yeah. And Dion, a boy called Dion, he's a little gangbanger from Luton. I've got a lot of respect for his brother. Knew his sister well when I was growing up. He turns around and goes, "Yaxley, bruv, I'm Muslim." I was like, Dion, because I was ready to just jump.
I wish you won.
I was just ready to jump on someone. And then this white boy next to him goes, "I'm fucking Muslim." I was like, boom. And then I've just gone at him and I've just held on to him and I'm fighting him. And then all the screws have come rushing in. It's all kicking off. And as the screws have dragged me away, I've turned around and Wesley Barker, who's a black boy I knew, he's standing there, big beard. I said, "You fucking," he goes, "Bruv, I ain't Muslim." And it's all kicking, all hell's going off. And as they're dragging me off, I'm looking at the screw who put me on there. I thought, "You fucking little prick." Yeah. As they're dragging me off, I thought, yeah, I didn't get done. Yeah. And then they've dragged me up. So at this point, I know this is my safety mechanism because now I've done that. You've got to deal with it, and to deal with it, you've got to isolate me. I know the process. I'm down the block now. Yeah, I'm safe. Right, I'm safe now. So I've had to do that. I've had no choice.
And so, because I've
got to survive.
I asked you what one of the most traumatic, unpleasant experiences was in jail. A lot of people listening to that will think, well, that sounds unpleasant for them. But you've done that out of fear.
I was terrified. I was dead. So I'm sitting there thinking, I'm dead here.
That was fueled by fear.
I'm going to get done.
Yeah.
They're not going to come in and give me a little slap. They're going to finish me. Yeah? I'm going to be stuck in a cell, in the shower, gangs of them, on my own, getting hurt. Yeah. So this is my safety mechanism to get me out of this situation. I know I know what I need to do to survive, and I survived. Yeah? And I remember they put me up, they dragged me up, put me in my cell. I was drenched head to toe. I had that much of a adrenaline rush, that much of a. I was soaking. I remember going to the window. I was screaming. I said, I thought I was fucking dead. Like laughing. I was like, only one person got beat up down there, boys. And then, but I knew then they're putting me down the block. And then they put me down. The priest come in and started on me, bruv. The priest come in and literally started. He goes, you think you're clever? I know what you've done. Because then I refused halal. So I said, nah, I want chicken, but I want non-halal chicken. Well, we don't have non-halal chicken. Well, you better get some. I said, I'm not eating until you do get some. If they're having a halal, I want non-halal. Yeah, because then I just thought I'm going to be a prick now about everything because you've purposely endangered my life. But at that moment, I remember as I walked into that wing, I was scared, bruv. I was scared, and I could give you this example in Peterborough Jail. Again, it's on 24 hours of police custody. You can watch it on 24 hours of police custody. I end up fighting. I get a charge, but I survived again. Wood Hill, I survived again. So I've been in those situations, terrifying situations in Wood Hill prison, where the screw come knocked on the door and said, when they come to get you, do not leave this cell. Your life depends on it, son.
So these 5 separate jail terms that you served, there's been an occasion, each and every one, where you genuinely felt that your life was in
the whole time.
Grave danger.
The whole time.
All sentences?
Yeah, the whole time.
Okay.
I'm always waiting for him to open the door, always waiting for the door to be opened, always thinking you're going to let him in, always constantly back to the wall. Every time I come out of my cell, back to the wall. I come walking downstairs, back to my wall. I'm waiting the whole time. I'm waiting and ready the whole time. Not 1 second, I'm not.
Which absolutely does take a toll on your mental health.
Oh, totally, but with stress.
Which will play back into the PTSD you mentioned earlier. But the question I want to ask is, so I've got a good summary idea of what prison must be like for Tommy Robinson. Very different to somebody that's in there for armed robbery or that's in there with a gang. It must be extremely terrifying.
A prison was all right when I was 20, when I went to Tommy Robinson.
Yeah, but I'm talking about prison for Tommy Robinson.
No, mate.
So the question is, all those jail terms that you served as Tommy Robinson, can you tell me, and including convictions that you didn't go to jail, can you tell me how many of them convictions were for racism or hate speech?
I've never been arrested or questioned or even spoken to about racism or hate speech. I've got one conviction. None of them are to do with that.
Well, that's bizarre.
I know.
So if you're branded, if your key brand word is, if they're going to brand you, it's racism, surely if the police are on you for every single move that you make, wouldn't it stand to reason that you would have at least been arrested and convicted for racism at once upon a time in your life?
60 demonstrations and about 5,000 hours of footage you can go through of my beliefs and my talks. And they've never been able to pin a single even question me on anything because facts aren't racist and statistics aren't hateful. So that's the problem they have, is that I speak facts and statistics and I give evidence based on what Islam is and the problems with scripture and why they're doing the crimes they're doing. And to silence that, they use the word racism and hate speech. Whereas in reality, if I was being racist or committing hate speech, I'd be arrested and in prison for it. We have stringent laws in the UK to protect people against inciting racial hatred or religious hatred. I've never even been spoken to.
Well, that speaks volumes to me, and I hope it speaks volumes to you. Now, I didn't want to talk about Islam. Not too much anyway. And I think we've done well to avoid the topic because it's always going to loop back because, of all your activism over the years. But I do appreciate the fact that they are pushing back against the LGBTQ plus community. And I just want to ask you, what are your broad thoughts on that entire community as a whole now? What they're doing, pushing it through schools, how they're normalising weird bits and bits like that. They keep on adding letters at the end of what was once LGB. So I would be very put out if I was gay, lesbian, or bi. If it was me, but what are your thoughts on it?
My thoughts are there needs to be a total break between LGB and the Q and the T and the plus and the I and the fucking rest of the alphabet mafia, which is being added on the end. Lesbians, gays, yeah, everyone would fight for their rights.
Absolutely.
When it overstepped the mark into sexualization of children, men dressing up as women and showing their penises or flaunting their penises and sexualized moves in front of children in school playground, in schools or in libraries, that is the point when this has gone too far. This isn't about rights. This is about degeneracy, and this is about sexualization of children. Let children be children. Keep this out of the fucking schools. Stop confusing children. Many of the children who are now saying they're non-binary or saying they're transgender, 50% of them are autistic. It's about attention. You're giving them attention. You're allowing the children to dictate in the schools, which is insanity because they're children. You're allowing mental health to flourish. You're accommodating it and facilitating it, which it is mental health. I think that there needs to be a total break. I also think that what they're encouraging now is homophobia, because you are turning lots of people homophobic. You are sexualizing children in front of the world, and you're telling parents they can't have a say about it or they're a bigot. And that is building resentment and building anger and frustration against what is an innocent gay community and an innocent lesbian community who are totally, many of them as sickened as us. There's groups like Gays Against Groomers, which is a group in America that's been set up, but which is the gay community coming together to speak up against the grooming of children, which is what this LGBTQ plus shit is. It's the grooming of children. Now they've come together to speak up, and for that they've been censored, deplatformed, silenced, social media accounts, same as us, same as all of us. Yeah, because this isn't about pushing rights for trannies. This has got nothing to do with that. This is to do with sexualizing kids. It's to do with confusing kids, and it's to do with shifting the goalposts into what people think is acceptable. They want children growing up thinking this sexualized shit is normal. They want children masturbating, and that may sound insane, but it's part of national curriculum.
Why do you think that is, though? Why?
Because they want to blur the lines between right and wrong. We are governed by paedophiles. Many of them are paedophilic. Many of the people who are even pushing these and reading these nursery rhymes are paedophiles. It is paedophilia. That's what it is. It's paedophilia disguised as inclusive. Well, no, it's not inclusive. Keep your dirty paedophile hands away from our kids. Keep your dirty paedophile shows away from the kids as well. Right? You've overstepped the mark. I swear to God, if there was a tranny reading anything to my kid in my school, I'll be up there on top of the bloke. Yeah?
I mean, exactly.
You're not.
Where is the value in?
No, there is no value.
Bringing a stripper into a school to read stories to children.
Because the value is to normalise it. You are normalising this behaviour amongst children because they want to normalise it. If you look at whether it be Pi, which is Harriet, the top Labour politicians, they wanted to bring the legal age of sex down to 12. These are paedophiles. Let's call them what they are. They're paedophiles. And they want to sexualise children. If you look at, they want to take away the parents' rights. They don't want you bringing up your child. They want to bring up your child.
And what would you say to parents that when their kids come back from school and they're saying, oh, we had a stripper stroke transgender come in and read us Humpty Dumpty, because a lot of people will just take it for what it is, accept it.
I'd say
what would you say to them?
You weird coward fucks. If you're not going to stand up and protect your own child because you're worried about diversity, you're worried about political correctness, you're a coward.
And what would you tell them? What would you tell them to do?
Take your kid out of school if they're continuing it. Take your kid. If all parents started to do that, then this wouldn't be happening. But certainly get up the school and make a noise about it. I've made a few noises at my kids' school about certain things to do, and
rightly so.
And each time they've stepped back. I
was privy to one of those
conversations.
And it was dealt with perfectly politely, and it left them in a position where they couldn't argue it.
There is no argument to it.
There is no normalising dysfunction.
You're not treating masculine young boys as though they're doing something wrong for being a masculine young boy. Yeah? Like my son's 14, yeah? And he's a lad, and he's not going to be taught that he should be frowned upon, and there's anything wrong with that. Yeah, he's a young boy, a young man growing up to be a good man, right? You want to weaken and send a message to them all they have to be weak-ass pussy kids and normalise this madness. And no, you're not. And no parent should be facilitating it, accommodating. If you're a parent who's got one of these children who is at 7 or 8 years old saying they're non-binary, it's your fucking problem. You have messed up. You have took your eye off the goalpost big time. Yeah, whether you've been separated from your child, something has gone drastically wrong where you've allowed them to get in your child's head. Yeah, when I say them, whether it be the school, the education system, TikTok on these fucking phones, any of the social medias which are normalising and promoting this shit, you've messed up. You've took your eye off the ball game. You've took your eye off the ball. Yeah, and you need to get back to parents. Your child is a reflection of you. So if your child's growing up a mess, then you need to sort it out.
I'll tell you what I think what would be a good start, and it would be subtle, and it would be innocent, and it would be non-aggressive, would be Facebook groups. There's so many group chats out there building their own communities. There should be groups in every county, in every town, every school even that's affiliated to whatever school that's doing all this madness. And because no one's against transgenders that I know. If you want to be a transgender, that's happy days. You do it in your own time. You do it in the privacy of your own room or your own community. But for fuck's sake, bringing it into the children. Are you out of your mind?
But those groups would be closed down.
Maybe there's got to be a way. Okay, WhatsApp groups, Telegram groups. Yeah. Just create a group on a platform on a chatting device where nothing can be censored, and you can accumulate the whole year's worth of parents.
Well, if you had a real political party, just look what Russia's just done. They've just outlawed it.
But for someone that's not overly political, someone that wants to keep things very simple, and they want to know, okay, what step do I take first? Because I'm too nervous to speak out against this because obviously cancellation kicks in. Surely little groups where you all start talking and say, hey, transgender, okay, fine. It's 2023. It's hip to be different, fine. But it isn't hip to be different around children. Why don't we all get together as a collective and start turning up to the school gates, walking in assembly, and all of this shit? Because the police can't come and nick hundreds and thousands of people if they're all saying, no,
you've seen
enough.
And that's been happening in quite a few places. But
not enough.
But the problem is, loads of parents are queuing up with their kids to go see them.
Bizarre.
Yes, you have their kids.
They need checking.
I want to show how inclusive I am. I'm going to let my child watch a nonce. Like weirdos.
Very strange.
Very strange.
I mean, back in the day, there used to be a watershed on the TV. And back in the day, if I was, not my dad, obviously, as we know, but if I was exposed to mild nudity and my mum was supervising me, the channel would get turned over. Now it's a live show.
Yeah.
And these schools where
the kids are copying it now. Some of these videos,
monkey see, monkey do.
Some of these videos,
happen.
Yeah, but that's what it's for.
How many people do you know from your schools in your area where children are actually transitioning?
In my kids' school, there's at least 60.
60 children transitioning from one sex to another.
Yeah.
At the age of
12, 13, 14.
Wow. And it's bizarre where
none of this is a mistake.
Oh, of course it is.
This is all coordinated and targeted.
I totally agree.
To confuse and weaken an entire generation.
This would never, ever, ever, ever happen organically because we've been alive on this planet for fuck knows how many years. It's never happened until now. And you've got people like
And if you look through the figures, so if you go through the figures of this non-binary, etc., which I did looking through, it's Brighton and it's London. So it's cultural. It's not all over the country. It's specifically the vast majority are in the areas of where gay areas.
Yeah.
That's where it is. So it's not like it's not happening in Newcastle. It's not happening in Stoke. It's not happening in certain cities.
Imagine the Geordies standing for that. Fucking hell.
For shit.
Yeah. And so you've got these schools that are allowing warped, bizarre sexualization, creeping, not even through the woodwork. It's coming in through the front door, sitting down.
Teachers and all. Teachers are encouraging.
But then you'll get somebody, and we'll move on to him now, Andrew Tate, who he as a human being is completely banned from being even mentioned in schools.
I think they're going to spend billions to
prevent Andrew Tate's message.
Prevent Andrew Tate's message. What is his message?
That's what I want to ask you.
Well, I can only speak from my son.
And what you've seen of him, he's got a lot of messages.
Yeah, he's got a lot of messages.
What ones do you like?
But the message of men being men, you're responsible for your own actions. You need to train. You need to be healthy. You need to be the best version of you can be, is an incredibly powerful message that was missing and is needed to the youth at this time. And no one was pushing it in reality, really, not with a platform that they had like him.
You had Jordan Peterson that would be pushing a similar sort of narrative, but
they don't look the way Andrew Tate looks.
He was pushing it in a way that it's not that easy to understand, to digest.
An intellectual way that a 10-year-old boy is not going to listen to. A 10-year-old boy is going to look at Andrew Tate, see his body, see his physique, see his cars, see the women, see the lifestyle, see him as a multimillionaire and say, I want a piece of that. And how do I get a piece of that? And he tells them, work hard, get in the gym every day, be a good man. do this. So my son, essentially, I showed you the video, did I? The before and after. My son done a video before I listened to Andrew Tate, now.
Yeah, yeah.
And he went from chubby to a machine. Yeah. And all the boys in my son's age group and all the boys, I go to my son's boxing club, I speak to the other parents. The other parents said, so in the school, when they were giving an assembly on Andrew Tate and all the boys are sitting there like this, yeah. So the whole assembly, every boy's sitting there like, fuck you, man. Doing the
fingers.
Doing the fingers, yeah?
Yeah.
So then they banned doing that in school. So the dad's gone up to school and said, do you even know what that is? Donald Trump does it. Lots of people do it. It's done. I forget the name for it. Yeah, but that's not Andrew Tate's.
So it's got to be some sort of energy.
It's an energy
that you're processing and putting out, or inhaling.
That's done by people throughout history. That same but you're banning it. You don't. And he asked the teacher, "Do you even know what it is?" He said, "No, Andrew Tate does it." Okay, so the Queen goes like that. Does that mean you're going to ban that? Like it's like mad. Like if he started doing that, you're going to ban Batman. You're going to ban handshakes.
And do you think Andrew Tate is a net positive or a net negative for A, society, and B, young men?
Until he converted, a net positive. Until he's telling people to convert to Islam, he was a total net positive for the youth.
See, I don't want to touch base on our chat now on his conversion or reversion, however, because I know that you are going to be having a chat with him about that. So I'd rather just leave that.
I think
promote the fact it's happening.
On his message of masculinity, a positive. And again, I can only go to you, Liam. Andrew Tate is from Luton. I know lots of people who know him extremely well. Very, very close to him. Training partners throughout his time. Everyone talks very positive of him, man.
When I met him, I tell you what radiated off him more than any of the other stuff. And I only saw the other stuff when he was coming up through the internet. I've never promoted the fact that I speak to him. I've been out on a night with him.
And when we went out before he was Andrew Tate, yeah?
Yes.
Before anyone knew him as Andrew Tate.
We was with him before he became...
Going back years.
Before he became Top G.
Yeah.
And
before Top G, he was Mr. Plenty.
Yeah. And what I got from him, the number one energy, the number one trait that I felt from him in quite some force, because when you're in a room with him, you're in a room with him, it was kindness. Yeah. I felt kindness from him. When he blew up on the internet, because I'm, a bit of a tech phobe, he was all over TikTok and everywhere, and he had the affiliate schemes, people pumping out his content. Absolute genius. Should be applauded for his business acumen. Sensational. Some of the things he was saying were close to the bone. I know that he was illuminating himself and he was magnifying himself to get himself out.
And
there.
That's how you get there. Totally. Katie Hopkins done the same.
I know the same thing. If I want to accumulate more followers, I put something controversial, but then I'll just keep it steady with my genuine love yourself content. He's done it on an absolute astronomical scale, and I tip my hat to him. I just can't help but think things should have been slightly tweaked differently. Is he a net positive to females?
Did he really understand the level he was going to go to? I don't think he did. How quick he did.
Oh, I think he did.
Yeah.
I believe he is one of the smartest men on the planet. His words, not the, but one of the. So and I think he's a man. I think he's always got a plan. From how I see it, very, very bright. He knows what he wants. He knows exactly how he's going to get there, and he will not stop until he's got that. A bit like the Terminator. So I think he had every intention of going boom. Maybe not to the extent he did, because he didn't just go boom. He went fuck most Google person on the planet.
Yeah, man.
But I'm not slamming Tate at all. But I'm interested in what people think, and I like to get the balance. I like to get the equilibrium, and I just net positive for men.
There's always had to be a resistance against the feminist pathetic movement that's come about. Yeah,
totally.
And Andrew Tate come in and filled that gap
for sure.
And by filling that gap, telling men to be men, explaining that men have roles and women have roles. Yeah, and if you even say that now, you're some sort of bigot. It's like no. Yeah, there's certain roles that should be fulfilled by women, certain that should be fulfilled by men. And we should celebrate the men for this and celebrate the women for this. Women have certain nature. Women are certainly good at a lot better at certain things than men. And men are better at certain things than women.
Complementary opposites.
That's it.
And I'm all for gender roles.
That's it. But
I'm all for gender roles. I wouldn't have my missus lay bricks.
No. And the new feminist movement has ruined that. And they've said that everyone's equal. And no, they're not. No, they're not.
Well, Andrew Tate is more of a feminist than your everyday feminist.
Yeah, totally.
Isn't he?
Yeah.
Of course.
So I think that, as I said, I'm hoping in the next 3 weeks to be sitting down with Andrew Tate. I think it's going to be an interesting conversation. I'm looking forward to it. I haven't seen him for years. I want to challenge him on certain things, congratulate him on certain things, and I have concern for him on certain things.
How do you think it's going to end for Andrew?
Badly. Very badly.
I also don't want to go into the nooks and crannies of the
I
accusations.
don't want it to end badly for him.
No.
I think things will end badly for me. Like, that's how I don't think they'll let me get away with what I've done, and they will want to set an example of me, and I'm nowhere near the level of Andrew Tate. So of course they're going to set an example of him. They want to send a message to the world. They're going to use him to do it. Yeah, step out of line. This is what happens. Right? You can't fuck with us. That's what's going to happen.
I'm going to draw a line now, and purely based on the fact that Andrew Tate is a podcast within himself, and we could open Pandora's box and go down a rabbit hole, and because there's so much, he's just a head of a character. The accusations that have been made.
Oh, he's funny as fuck.
We will wait and see what happens there. But for me, from what I've experienced directly with him, is kindness and what will be. But I didn't want to go right into Andrew Tate because this is about Stephen Yaxley-Lennon.
Cool, mate.
But good to touch base on it. It's also good to promote the fact that you will be speaking to him shortly, and that will be the watch of the internet.
I hope so.
That will blow up, and it'll be a very, very interesting conversation, and I'm looking forward to it. I'm sure everybody else will be. Tate versus TR, and it is going to be a versus because you've got a clash of ideas and what's right and what's not. So that will be that on Andrew Tate. Let's hope justice prevails.
No, justice won't prevail. There isn't a justice system, there's a legal system.
Yeah, that's true. But moving on from him, the last question I have for you: what does the next 5 years bring for Tommy Robinson and Stephen Yaxley-Lennon? What's your plan?
I don't know, man. In the sense, I'm just trying to get through the months. So essentially, whereas I would have used to look for goals and plans, I'm just doing it by 6 months at a time in a minute. So I think by Christmas, if they get their way, I'll be locked in a prison cell. And I say that because a film was released online called Silenced, which the courts had given me injunctions saying that it wasn't allowed to be released. The reason it wasn't allowed to be released because you weren't allowed to see the truth. They'd lied about me to the world. They'd lied about a court case. They'd lied about the truth. And I produced a documentary of covert recordings that proved everything was a lie. Proved the whole thing was a facade. And if they lied about this, what else are they lying about? How many other stories you're being fooled with, yeah? I produced that, and for that, they'll lock me up because they're not happy. But by locking me up, so I've seen different accusations. So there's an organisation called Hope Not Hate who say that I released the film, yeah? That I secretly released it with this other group. Now, let's just take what they're saying at the minute and accept it. Let's say, okay, let's take whether what they're saying is true. So I secretly released it, knowing full well that it could result me in a prison sentence. Yeah? Now, I'm either a moron or I'm clever, if we take their one. So let's go down their path, yeah? So I've released it secretly. That's what they're saying. And have they walked? So they're now trying to get me put in jail. Now, if I am put in jail, you're going to watch the film. Idiots, yeah? If by putting me in jail, the film's going to blow up to a worldwide film. People around the world are going to watch it and see that a British journalist has been in prison for 2 years for showing the public the truth. It's going to be astronomical level of debate around freedom of speech, which is what I want anyway. Yeah. So if that's the case, I win. So if Hope Not Hate believe that I intentionally done that, then they're fucking idiots by trying to put me in jail. Because by putting in jail, if I had intentionally done that, I'd have thought about the consequences and I'd have been willing to face those consequences. And if I'm willing to die for my cause, I'm willing to do a year in jail. Yeah. If you want to lock me up for a year, and I'll serve a year, if you wanted to do that, it's going to bring about a debate like no other around freedom of speech. You're going to be exposed as frauds. The court are going to be exposed. The judiciary is going to be exposed. The media are going to be exposed. All of you are going to be exposed. Yeah? History will judge me as standing on the right side. I'll be on the right side of history. You won't. It's going to expose you and it's going to enlighten me. Yeah, you're going to make me a free speech martyr. So crack on. So if I end up in jail, I'm a free speech martyr. If I don't, the public have seen the truth. My supporters know the truth. They know I didn't lie to them. They know you're liars. They know you're frauds. So if we go with what you said, whereas the truth is, I didn't want the film to go out. And the reason I didn't want the film to go out is for the fears that we spoke about today. Mm-hmm. I fear jail. I fear death. I'm normal. I'm a normal bloke. I've got 3 kids. I want a normal life. But you all lied. Yeah. And the film exposes every one of you. It's a fabulous film. It's a fabulous film. And I didn't want it to go out, but it's gone out. And I'm actually, it's a legacy piece. It will be looked upon.
It should be mandatory viewing. And to summarise, you can't even answer me when I say what lies ahead for Tommy Robinson or Stephen Yaxley-Lennon over the course of the next 5 years, because you are under so much pressure that you're not even allowed to do so. You have got to take each week, month at a time to survive. That's
all I'm thinking about is next month. And at the minute, for the next month here, I've got my children. I'm enjoying it. I'm blessed. I had a bit of a wobble a couple of times before they come. I was like fearful again, concerned,
well, you're
panicking.
You're a human being, and hopefully this conversation, which is probably near on 4 hours now, is going to humanise you in the eyes of the people that put you as a media tabloid. And is there anything else you want to say? Because this podcast will be out there for years to come.
If you just hope not hate, crack on, carry on going. For our cause. You're doing a better job for me than I could ever do. You get me locked up, I couldn't even wish. I could not bring that much attention to the film that you're gonna, you morons. So that's it. Liam, as I said, when I first met you, I knew we'd become friends. I knew when I watched you on the internet, marching up and down your kitchen, making me laugh and roll around the floor, we'd become friends. And I enjoy your company. And you are a great example to follow as well, because I've followed you for the last few weeks. So I was having a bit.
Oh, is that it?
I mean, I followed you here for the last few weeks.
Yeah.
I followed your training, your diet, your everything. That's what I mean. I followed you for years, but the last few weeks, which has been a positive energy on me.
And you know what, man? Like, irrespective of how many conversations we've had, how many chats, how many times we've sang country and western in the car, how many times we've sat in a cold plunge, I have thoroughly enjoyed today's conversation.
Thanks.
I'm delighted you agreed to come on the show, what it is now. This is new. And yeah, thank you for coming. I hope you've enjoyed listening to Tommy and humanised him. And I will see you next time on the Dozen podcast. Over and out. Good elf.
Thank you.